Is Ramesh Prabhu and Vinay Thyagaraj. I request Secretary of Branch Pramod to escort the speaker of the day session. CA Ramesh Prabhu. CA Ramesh Prabhu is a practicing chartered accountant and a certified information systems auditor, qualified with experience of more than 3 decades and whose opinion is sought on various laws and issues, particularly in RERA and cooperative society sector. He is a partner in RS Prabhu and Associates Chartered Accountant Firm, Chairman of Maharashtra Societies Welfare Association, a Mumbai-based registered NGO which is spreading the cooperative society movement across Maharashtra, and Chairman of Thyagaraj Housing Finance Company Limited. He is a regular faculty and task force member with ICAI. He has addressed member of various members of and webinars organized by WIRC of ICAI, government departments, newspapers, political parties, NGOs, etc. He is a cooperative member of Cooperative Committee for Maharashtra by WIRC of ICAI for last few years. He has practically in-depth knowledge of cooperative and housing sector. He has authored more for 40 books on issues like conveyance, transfer of flats, parking and collection of dues from members. He was appointed by Government of Maharashtra in 2018 on its committee for drafting the law for deemed conveyance. He is a member of the Committee of Government of Maharashtra to include a separate chapter for cooperative housing society in the MCS Act 1960. And its rules, election rules and bylaws. He has become housing society development and data matter in Maharashtra. He has authored book on self-redevelopment released by Sri Uddhav Thackeray, CM of Maharashtra in February 2020. With this brief introduction, I introduce Speaker of the session, CA Ramesh Prabhu. Let me introduce Vinay Thyagaraj. He is a chartered accountant and a law graduate and founder partner of Vinay and Vinay Chartered Accountants, having 20 years of experience in business consulting, structuring and taxation. Presented business taxation technical papers and participated at various symposiums, forums, regular speaker at various regional TV channels on financial matters, budgets, etc. He has been working on real estate Regulation and Development Act 2016 since its inception of the Act, with a view to understand financial business impact on the Act on the organization and industry, helping promoters to implement the best practices and RERA. He has served as technical committees of SARC of ICA. Presently, he is part of Governing Council of National Real Estate Development Council, Karnataka, and part of Taxation, Liaison Funds and Project Finance Committee. With this brief introduction, let me introduce Vinay Thyagaraj for the session. So session is yours. You can take it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a nice introduction. Will you take that?
You will just
I'll get down.
Yeah, we'll get down. Yes, what we'll do is myself, CA Ramesh Prabhu, Vinay Thyagaraj, both will be taking the session together. RERA is being a central act. I will touch upon the main provisions of the RERA. There are hardly 10 chapters, 92 sections, and effectively there are hardly 18 to 19 sections which are very important for the practitioners. Now, RERA has become more important for a chartered accountant because it is one of the commercial laws. So being a practicing chartered accountant, a finance consultant or a business consultant, as I may call it, naturally need to guide our clients. Now, as a practitioner, whenever client comes to us, naturally we need to advise them. Advise in various aspects related to the provisions of the law. So therefore, if I look at the professional opportunity that it has evolved or it has opened up for a chartered accountant to start with consultancy, if I call it as the first C. The second C could be compliance. Because whenever we talk about any law, whether it's a income tax, GST, the compliance is another part which again an advisory person can better do it. So a consultant can definitely, once you advise the client that this is what is the roadmap, this is the strategy that I am giving you, naturally you need to comply with that. So the next is compliance. Now having said compliance, naturally when you do the compliance, there are certain issues, challenges or the difficulties that we or the authorities would like to get into. Here is the stakeholders. That is none other than, of course, we have the allottees, that is a flat purchaser, apartment purchasers. We have the promoters, that is a developer, landowner who develops. And then, of course, the authorities who regulate the entire business sector. Therefore, having said there is a compliance required, now if that compliance is not met, then there can be show cause notices issued by the authorities. Then if the obligations of the promoter as a developer, landowner, the builder, if he is not complying with the required provisions mentioned in the Act and the rules, regulations, whatever we call it, naturally there will be complaints which will be raised. So the complaint redressal is the third aspect where a chartered accountant has been given authority under section 56 of RERA to represent before the authorities. That is another opportunity. The last and most important is this being a business law. Naturally, there are so many complex situations which arise in executing the real estate. Real estate is not that easy business that you and I can do. It is a complex subject. Taking care of the compliances related to the, no doubt, approvals, sanctioning and other parts of it, legal aspects of it. In addition to that, as a business compliance, we need to look at the income tax, we look at the RERA, we have to look at the GST and other various provisions of the law. So therefore, a chartered accountant can be the best person to give a strategy and roadmap, and that is how the complex situation can only be done by chartered accountant. Having various knowledge as far as finance, accounts, audit, and as well as the various business laws. Therefore, these are the very important aspects that is opened up through the real estate. Now, having said this, now what we will look at is why this law has evolved, why this law has come. The presentation may come. I think you are putting the presentation, correct?
Yes, sir.
Before the presentation could come, I'll just take you to the flow. That we are in the era of specialization. Do you agree with us? You agree with me? Yes. We are in the era of specialization. Now, if we are in the era of specialization, specialization do evolve slowly. So how the real estate law also has become an area of specialization. How the law has evolved over a period of time. Can anyone tell me what could be the first law if we have to talk about any transaction that happens between two people? What is the law that was governing? Naturally, the Contract Act, 1872. That's a general law, which was the first law which was talking about transaction between the two parties, three parties, multiple parties. Now, having said that there's a Contract Act 1872, now the law has to evolve towards the specialization. That is what I'm opened up my topic. So the specialization was naturally towards the specialization related to the property transaction. So what is the law that was talking about specialization towards the property law? Can anyone tell me? Transfer of Property Act, 1882. So over a period of 10 years, the next law has evolved, that is Transfer of Property Act, 1882. Having said that property transaction, Transfer of Property Act evolved, it covers both the property, movable and immovable. The Transfer of Property Act carries both, movable and immovable. Having said that it is carrying movable and immovable, naturally, the next arises, in case of immovable property, what is need to be done. In case of immovable property, the Transfer of Property Act says, if the property is worth more than 100 rupees, the value of immovable property is more than 100 rupees, that need to be registered. When I talk about registration, that means it has to be documented, and documented it has to be registered. That means there is a Registration Act 1908. 1908 came. If an instrument need to be recorded in writing, again government wanted certain tax on that, a transaction tax. So therefore Indian Stamp Act, then respective state of course started levying State Stamp Act. Stamp duty is a type of tax which is affixed on the documents where the transactions are made. So there is a Stamp Act, there is a Registration Act. Then of course the question arises that in case a immovable property, which is a land or land along with the building, if it has to be sold, yet it can be recorded in writing. The question arises, as the migration happened in the urban cities, naturally, what about the multi-story buildings? If there is a multi-story building which has of course more and more apartments in different floors and one land, multi-story buildings, how the apartments can be given to the individual people? There was no law which is governing. Therefore in Mumbai, to begin with, because that is the city where in India you could see, so the multi-story building started. So the Tenancy Act came into picture. What is Tenancy Act? The landowner would construct a multi-story building and he would make a multiple apartments in a land which he will construct and give on leave and tenancy basis. That's a, there we call it as a Pagdi basis. So Rent Act. So Rent Act came into effect, and then the tenants or the tenants were getting a protection under the tenancy law. But the major ownership of the land and the ownership of the building rests with the owner. I being a tenant, I pay the Pagdi. Pagdi means the lump sum amount in advance, which is equivalent to the cost of the land, equivalent to the cost of the building, plus profit that the landowner wants to make. I give it to the landowner and I remain still a tenant. This was not acceptable to some of the people. And therefore a group of people, that is one community, which of course you may be knowing from Karnataka, that is Saraswat people, North Canara Saraswat people, they said, if a family can own a multiple story building with multiple story, that is ground floor is parents, first floor is father, maybe brothers, second floor maybe sisters, like this. Multiple story building can be owned by the joint family. The land is owned by the father, people own the, children own the various floors. Why not? A cooperative society may be formed where people will come together. The society will construct the building. Society will purchase the land, and thereafter the flats will be allotted to the members of the society on ownership basis. So a collective entity was getting formed. So that is how a cooperative law, that is the first society, cooperative housing society, was formed in Mumbai. They say it is first in Asia. That is Saraswat Cooperative Society. Saraswat Cooperative Housing Society was formed in the year 1915 in Mumbai. Based on that, multiple societies started getting registered under the Cooperative Societies Act, where the land was getting owned by the society. Why I am giving you this history? The history, for giving you the history, is to understand how the specialization is coming into effect and how all these aspects are incorporated in RERA. So ultimately the RERA is a specialized law for the real estate, but all these have been included. Now, how this used to happen? the housing society is consisting of the people who are looking for the house. Naturally, they will appoint a contractor to construct the building. Now, there used to be a competition between the contractor as to how can I acquire the construction contract? Because housing society is one, but there are 10-15 contractors. How to ensure that the construction contract comes to me only? So, this contractor found a very good system. What is that system? They said, let me enter into an agreement for sale with the landowner, pay 5% or 10% of the agreed consideration of the land. He would book that land, and the lands are limited. Because lands are limited, he would book and he would transact with the society, proposed society, or the members of the society, registered society, saying that if I need to get the land, then he would say, construction, you should give it to me. The land is with me. He will not mark up, because the business ethics was good. If I have purchased the land, let us say 10 cents, 20 cents, whatever we call, is purchased for 1 lakh rupees. He would say that he will sell at 1 lakh. But he has paid 10,000 as a MOU, and he has said that I will engage with the society, and then once the society is registered, I will convey the land and building to the society through the landowner. Till such, then there is an agreement for sale where it is with the contractor. So the contractor now ensures, by putting 10% of the land cost, he is now able to get a construction contract. And that is how the contractor used to get the land, contractor used to get the construction in their favor, and that is how they were monopolizing. The government realized this issue, and therefore there was an Urban Land Ceiling Act, if you remember. Of course, now it is repealed, but Urban Land Ceiling Act came into picture, and that is how the law evolved. Now, what happened thereafter? Thereafter, it was realized that proposed society, because I have got a land, I want to do the construction, but getting a proposed society together was also a big exercise, because I have to call the like-minded people, and I have to get, business people never want to block their money. And this contractor, what they said, let me do one thing, under the Contract Act, let me enter into individual agreement with the individual people. So they started coming out with the scheme that I am constructing so and so building, I have got the land title, that is agreement for sale or a conveyance, whatever it is, and then I will construct the flats and apartments, and I will give you on installment under construction. But this agreement used to be done on Contract Act. Again, you understand, this contractors or the builders or the developers, whatever we call, they used to, say something, deliver something, and there used to be a lot of manipulative practices. Unscrupulous builder used to take undue advantage, and therefore Maharashtra government for the first time realized, appointing a committee, that Maharashtra Ownership Flat Act 1963 was enacted, giving protection to the statutory rights to the allottees, flat purchasers. That is how Maharashtra Ownership Flat Act came for the first time. Thereafter, the central government realized, if Maharashtra government could come in, because that is how the Maharashtra used to take a pioneer step in the real estate development, the central government thought it, why not we come out with the, because the land is a state subject, development is a state subject, the central government came out with the Model Act for the Apartment Act. That is how in Karnataka Apartment Ownership Act 1972 as well as Karnataka Ownership Flat Act 1972, both act came into picture, and in that, of course, it was said that how the common areas will be managed, what will be the aspects, how the development will happen, all this. So statutory right was getting. Now, this was the state, different states, different law, different enactment, different way of looking at. Now, in lately, somewhere in 2010-11 onwards, what happened was, especially in Delhi, NCR, okay, National Capital Region area, there every developer started taking undue advantage. The FSI, that is floor area, space, or whatever you call, okay, that's construction, buildable construction started increasing. People started multiplying, amendments. And then when the plan was made or the booking was done, it was only ground plus 2-story. But when the building was happening, it used to be ground plus 30-story, 40-story, because by that time the FIR has gone up from 1.5 to 3, and it takes 10 years, and that is how people were taken for a ride. And therefore central government decided that why not come out with a law which the Maharashtra government has planned to enact. Because Maharashtra Housing Regulation and Development Act was enacted, and that is how, considering that as a base, why not we have a central law uniformly? And that is how RERA as a specialized law for the purpose of under construction property got enacted, and it got implemented from 1st May 2017. And that is how, of course, as I said, more perspective of Karnataka, Vinay will give you. So just to say that, yes, this is the update, this is the agenda for the today. And these are the various, from 2014 onwards, if you see, demonetization, RERA, IBC, GST, Finance Act, NBFC Finance Act, because a lot of amendments happened, and NBFC crisis, liquidity crisis, investors left, COVID. This is how a lot of challenges, intervention of the government, nature's intervention or the God's intervention, so many challenges have happened in the real estate. And therefore, now the RERA has been enacted, where we have Real Estate Regulatory Authority, we have an adjudicating officer, we have Real Estate Appellate Tribunal, High Court and Supreme Court as a law implementing agency, and a lot of compliances happen. Now, considering this, as I said, what is the objectives of the RERA? RERA is to regulate the real estate sector along with the development, transparency, efficiency, consumer protection. And that is how the functions of RERA, if you look at, functions of RERA, it's the administrative functions, it is a judicial function, it is an advisory function, it is a regulatory function, it is an executive function. That means executing the orders passed by the RERA. Real estate law, yes, it has a project registration, real estate agent registration, filing of complaints, financial discipline, transparency and consumer oriented. So considering all this, the implementation of RERA was with the state government. The law was central government, implementation is the state government and union territory, and therefore the making the rules and the regulations are left to the state government. State government constitute the regulatory authority, state government constitute the appellate tribunal, and that is how the Karnataka RERA has been established. Of course, Karnataka RERA chairman is expected after our session. You will have an opportunity to interact with him. With this brief introduction about the RERA overview, I now request Vinay Thyagaraj to give you insights as to how in Karnataka RERA has been functioning, what are the provisions regarding registration, that is the next one, registration section 3 of RERA, then compliance under section 4 and 5, all that he will definitely deal with that. So over to Vinay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Ramesh, sir. Friends, I would like to mention few words about Ramesh, sir. If you compare him, he is called a RERA Guru. So that is what is the title we have given him. I'm inspired with his talk in 2016 about RERA, so I started practicing on this. So he's not only a guru for RERA, also he is guru for me. And it's our fortunate to have him here in today's session to share about the RERA and also its real objective and how it make a difference to a chartered accountants and what are the opportunities for a chartered accountants. Thank you for accepting our invitation and being here.
Yeah, thank you.
And for your information, sir is settled in Mumbai, but he is from Karnataka. He is from Kundapur. So he knows Kannada very well. His all sisters in Bangalore. 5 sisters are in Bangalore, but brothers are in Mumbai. So he is our person only. He is from Karnataka only. That is a one more thing that belongs to us. Across India, we have about 50 chartered accountants of all the states. We have a separate group who practice on RERA extensively, exclusively. So anything comes, we take a blessings of Ramesh sir. So that to that extent, we have a respect to him because of his knowledge, because of his experience, because of his experts. He has presented in 20 minutes about 117 years of history of real estate. From 1915, he started talking about to 2022. That shows like how much he involved in the real estate, how much knowledge he has on the real estate. And for your information, sir manages and sir is a president of Mahaseva. It is like a cooperative societies which manages the housing societies in Maharashtra. He is a president or chairman?
Yeah, chairman.
Chairman consistently for the last
22 years.
22 years. So that is what is carried in his credit. So why I'm saying all these things to us is like the future of Karnataka is also the same thing which happens in Mumbai, because we are also looking at the building, the way that buildings are coming and the regulation which is there in place, and government wanted to bring the standardization in the real estate practice itself. One of the objective of the RERA is to make a standardization. If you go to Mumbai, you don't understand the Mumbai real estate. If you come to Bangalore, you don't understand the Karnataka, Bangalore real estate. So to bring some standardization in the industry, the way of we doing the business, the RERA comes into force. So the concept of societies which just started coming in Karnataka also, and if you see that RERA mandates the association to be registered under cooperative society. Earlier we used to register as just a mere an AOP by filing the deed of declaration and the association bylaws with the sub-registrar. So what you heard is a past, and he also explained little bit about the present and the future of Karnataka or future of Bangalore in terms of the real estate. In the slides to come, he will include that and sir will explain those aspects also. So this gives some importance, this gives some idea to the chartered accountants in terms of listening from the future what is possible, listening from the future what we can take up as a practice. I have seen many youngsters are participating. It's good to see many youngsters are involving and understanding and inclined about this subject. And with that, I just start talking about the Karnataka. Karnataka RERA is, as the act itself is enacted in 2017. On 11 July 2017, Karnataka rules are notified. As sir mentioned, Act is a central act. RERA Act is a central act, and Act has given a power to the states to notify the draft and notify the rules, and also in terms of the managing supervision and also regulation is the powers vested with the states. Accordingly, Karnataka has notified the rules on 11 July 2017. Interim authority has been appointed, because as per the act it says the housing secretary is the interim chairman for the RERA authority till the government appoint the full-time authority for that. So immediately after that, housing secretary Mr. Kapil Mohan took the charge as the chairman for the RERA and started functioning. One good part about it is on 24th July 2017, the authority has operationalized the website for the purpose of RERA registration. And one of the objective of this RERA is to bring the transparency. So how the transparency can be brought in? how the transparency can be brought in is in terms of providing the information or seeking the information in unbiased manner, and those information would be at the custody of the government and which would be available to the public at large at any point of time. If it is not the online, if it is a conventional manual system, there are chances of misusing the procedure, there are chances of misusing the practices. So that is curved from the inception of this enactment itself. Not only in Karnataka, most of the states made it mandatory that the process is online, and also information documents are available online to everybody. I am sure that most of you have visited the RERA website. How many of you have not visited RERA website? I just wanted you to raise the hands. Not visited. Okay, very few, it may be less than 10 numbers. I welcome all of you to visit the RERA website, and you see that what type of information is available, what kind of information is available, and how you can advise the clients looking at those information. So immediately after operationalize the website, then as per the Act, it is mandated for the promoters to register the projects which are all ongoing as on date of enactment of the Act. As on 1/5/2017, the projects which have not received the completion certificate is mandated to register under the Act, because it is ongoing. Still customers has a say in it, and still the allottees has to get their rights, get their homes delivered. So Act is very clear in terms of that. So all the ongoing projects which have not received the completion certificate as on 1/5/2017 is mandated to register under the Act. So section explanation to section 3 is mandated. Accordingly, about 2,500 projects were registered in the 2017. That is how the RERA implementation, RERA journey started in 2017. We are in 2022. We have about 6,000 projects which are registered in the state of Karnataka, which is the top 4 in India. Mumbai, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, next the Karnataka comes in place. So fourth position in India itself in terms of real estate registration of the projects. Of course, in terms of the coverage of the projects, based on some survey by some private agency, they say that only 25% of the projects are getting registered with RERA. Still 75% are unregistered and continue to do the business. But it is the duty of the government and the regulatory authority to figure it out how to bring all of them under the umbrella of the RERA. I'm sure, friends, most of you are doing or advising the real estate clients. When you advise the real estate clients, I'm sure that you are also asking, what about RERA? Have you taken a RERA? Your project is registered under RERA? If so, what is that you are filing to the RERA on periodical basis? What reports you are giving to the RERA? If not, please, irrespective of your advice, you may be a statutory auditor, you may be a tax auditor, you may be a GST advisor, you may be something else. Please ensure that you insist to share the registration, RERA registration details. And if they provide the RERA registration, then you have an opportunity to go back and check in RERA what they have provided with RERA. So based on that, you can advise them in the respective subject topic to them. I'll explain during the course of presentation why it is important in terms of to look at the RERA documentation, look at the RERA topics. Hitherto, before RERA, we were doing the same thing. GST we were doing, income tax we were doing, VAT we were doing, sales tax we were doing, labor laws we were doing to the same client. But that time RERA was not there. Now RERA is there. So how it impacts, how the perception, how our views, how the way that we advise the clients has changed or should be changed is depending on how the RERA, how they have submitted the documents to RERA, what is the scheme of the projects in terms of their development. Based on that, our advice will go. Yesterday, Mr. Vishnumurthy sir and also Amit has mentioned about one good point about 45(5)(a) of Income Tax Act, where the tax liability come in case of a multi-phase development or multiple phase development. The tax is at the first phase which received the occupancy certificate. So that is what is very important. Under RERA, you have in proviso explanation to section 3, you have an option to register the project in the phase-wise development. So that has an impact on the income tax. So we cannot read income tax without understanding RERA if you are advising the real estate clients. So that is the background about it in terms of the importance of RERA, awareness of RERA while advising the real estate clients. And RERA is a regulatory body. What does mean is like a bank, RBI, for a stock exchange, SEBI, for a food license, FSSAI, for a real estate, RERA is a regulatory body, and in terms of their functions are defined under section 25, 32, 35, various functions, powers are vested with them, and it's about 5-6 years we have seen a change which are radical in this industry, and going forward it further strengthen the industry, further develop the industry, further develop the entire ecosystem of this industry, which gives a fair, transparent standardization practices in the industry itself.
Yeah, coming back to the RERA, section 1 of the RERA talks about the name of the act, when it becomes effective, where it is applicable. Section 2, there are about 44 definitions. I'm not going to deal with the definitions. It talks about as minute definition as apartment, building, commencement certificate, completion certificate, occupation certificate, planning area. So many minor details about the definition is given. The promoter, allottee, each of the words that is used in across 92 sections of the RERA has been defined. Now, section 3, which in income tax we call it a charging section. In RERA we call it as a applicability. What is applicable here? Section 3 of the RERA says, no promoter shall. The word no promoter. Promoter means the person who develops the real estate. It includes the landowner. RERA, especially Karnataka RERA, has come out with a special guideline as to whether the landowner is also a promoter or not a promoter, which of course Vinay will discuss with you little later after my. So no promoter shall do any marketing, advertisement, book, allot, transfer, apartment, plot or a building as the case may be. Plot, apartment, building as the case may be, unless until that real estate project is registered with RERA. That means the opening general remark is that no promoter can, no builder, no seller, no developer, nobody can sell, even market, advertise, book. Nothing can be done unless until the project is registered with RERA. What is the primary duty? To get it registered with the RERA, that is Real Estate Regulatory Authority. Now, it's a general section. Now, general section can have exception, correct? So the exceptions are given in subsection 2. Before coming to the exception, a question arises before the Parliament, because earlier the law was enacted prospectively. If it is connected prospectively, then what will happen to the project which are under construction? When I say under construction, the project which was started earlier, but that has not been delivered to the allottees, that has not been given to the flat purchaser. That is called ongoing project. So therefore, the proviso, the exception has been made saying that the projects which are ongoing and of which completion certificate is not obtained shall be registered with RERA within 3 months from the date of commencement of the act. That means the RERA took into its account a project which is ongoing. You must have started about 5 years back, 10 years back, 15 years back, but you have not delivered to the allottee. So therefore, that was also covered, and a 3 months window was given to the promoter to get that project registered. Now having, therefore it says, Section 3, compulsory registration for development of any immovable property in the phases. So it also says, if you are developing in phases, In that case also, each phase can be registered as a separate independent real estate project. So, now, otherwise, all pending projects where OC is not received, OC means occupation certificate or a completion certificate, within 3 months, and new project before you offer it for sale, before you advertise. Each of the advertisement material need to have the RERA number. Each of the advertisement material need to have the RERA website where your project is registered, which means everything is now available online. Now, what are the information on online? That we'll see. Now, section 3, subsection 2 talks about exceptions. There can be exemption. In income tax also we know there is a section 10 which gives us an exemption. So what are the projects which are exempted? The area of plot which does not exceed 500 square meter. If it is within 500 square meter, then, and you are doing a development, then that need not be registered because it is a small project. And where the number of units are less than 8, or where the number of units are less, those are not required registration. Say 7 units, 5 units, 6 units, where it is a very small project, so compliance cost to the such promoter will be very huge. So therefore those were exempted. Second, all the completed project where OC is granted. That means where the occupation certificate is granted before the commencement of the act, or a completion certificate is granted before the project registration, then that is not required to be registered. So second exception. Third exception, where a multi-story building which requires renovation, which requires repairs, or which requires reconstruction. In Mumbai now reconstruction, redevelopment has started, where there is no new allotment of the flats, where new allottees are not there, new flat purchasers are not there, only existing people. Let us say there are existing 20 flat purchasers. They are going to demolish the existing building and they are going to construct another 20 flats or 40 flats for the existing members. There is no new marketing which is happening, and therefore they are not required to be registered with RERA. Are you clear? Now with this, I have a question to you. I explained you section 3. Now the question to you is that I have started a project, let us say in the year 2021, after the RERA has come into effect. 2017 is the RERA which came into effect, 1st May 2017. Now I started a project in the year 2021. I have got the approval, I got a land title, I have got everything. Now, when is the time that I need to register with RERA? 2021, say January 2021, I got the approval, I started construction. So far I have not registered the project with RERA. Okay, I have not registered the project. Now I am in 2022. And I may not register in the next, let us say 1 or 2 years. My question is, what is the triggering point for RERA registration? Yeah, before marketing. So if I don't market, till I don't market, I don't require RERA registration. So I have not marketed. I have done with my own money. So you are right. Now the next question which follows, again you need to answer, is I have received the completion certificate. What I have done? I have received the completion certificate. I have not done any marketing. In the year 2023, say January 2023, after 2 years, I completed the project, I received the completion certificate. Now, after receiving a completion certificate, now I want to register, should I register with RERA before marketing, or I don't require registration with RERA before marketing? I received the completion certificate now. Whether I require registration or don't require registration? With Yeah, just raise the hand, those who are saying not required. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What is the reason, madam? Which section? Where it says? It says all the completed project where OC is granted before commencement of the act. I have not written there to put you in a googly. So the section 2 says subsection 2 of 3, clause B says, where the completion certificate has been issued before the commencement of the Act. Act has commenced in the year 2017. According to the RERA, according to the central government directions, and according to my opinion, maybe Vinay has different opinion, I don't know, let me check with him. Even if you have got a completion certificate, project is complete in all respect, before you offer it for the sale, the project requires registration. This is my view. Even the central government has issued a notification to that effect. What is your view on that?
Sir, when the central government has issued the notification, when Ramesh Prabhu sir says that, there is no different views available to anybody, sir.
Okay.
Same view which is taken by most of the authorities, but however, we still listen the question and the same answer in every program. Every program there would be a mandatory question, sir, I have used my own funds, I have constructed myself. After completion, I am going to sell only. Why should I need a RERA registration? It is like this. Like, you need a food license whether you prepare and sell or you sell it. Do you need a food license? Food license is for what? Preparation and sell, or only for sell, or only for preparation? In either case, you need a license to sell the food. So you may have a question, when the product is ready, when the project is ready, what is that? As a builder, as a promoter, for what reason I should register with RERA? That may be the few questions from you. There are answers for that. Sir will explain.
You have a question.
Sir, in scenarios where already people have done the construction or...
You take the mic. It becomes easier for people to understand.
Sir, already, as of now, as you told an example, people have started cutting the plots and they are using their own funds, and they have not registered with RERA. And they have not sold yet. They have not reached the OC stage, but they might reach in another 6 months or 3 months, sir. So in that scenario, if we advise to get it registered, my question is that there are, as soon as you register, you will have to put quarterly updates, yearly balance sheets and all. We would have missed from past 1 year, the work would have been started. So how do we resolve that issue, sir, without registration? And if we register now, is there any penalties which will be levied in those situations, sir?
Penalty will be levied if you sell the apartment or a plot prior to RERA registration, or if you market before the project is registered. As huge as 6 crore penalty, as huge as 6 crore penalty has been levied by MARERA, Maharashtra Real Estate Regulatory Authority, for a housing society to sell an apartment to its own members without RERA registration. Now the matter is in the appeal, it may go in the High Court. What I am trying to say is, RERA registration is a must before you do the marketing. However, MARERA has taken a different view. That is why I was just trying to put a question to you. MARERA has taken a stand that if the project is completed in all respect, the completion certificate also has been obtained, that no more remains as the real estate project. According to MARERA, Maharashtra Real Estate Regulatory Authority, number of judgments they have passed and the number of directions they have issued for the last 6 years, that a real estate project is a real estate project which is an ongoing project where the work is still to be completed, and a real estate project is registered for a particular duration, undertaking with the authority that I will complete the project in a time-bound manner with my milestone within so much time. So now entire thing is completed, it's a ready-made product, so therefore there is no time frame required to complete the project, and therefore they don't require registration. This is the stand taken by MARERA, but I still, with my own understanding of the law, the provisions of the Act, before you register, before you market, that need to be registered. Real estate project does not mean a real estate project which is ongoing. MARERA has a different understanding, and that will be, of course, in due course of time, it will be, decided by the law. But right now, real estate project, whether it is a completed or otherwise, which is available for the sale, whether it is a ready-made or under construction, that requires registration, and I think Karnataka has taken a view on that.
Now, Karnataka is also clear, irrespective of status of the project, it should be registered. If you happen to have experience of registration, while filing an application, you have something called new project, ongoing project, completed project. If the project is completed, select it as a completed, and also the moment you press completed, it will ask you a affidavit stating that sold and unsold inventory in the project. Because they wanted to ensure that you have completed the project. That means to say you have not applied for the registration the moment you have taken the plan sanction. So you might have used your own funds, not with the allottees funds or the customer funds, not marketed. Give me an affidavit stating that I have not sold even single unit. I have not collected money from any of the allottees in the market. And plus a certificate of a chartered accountant stating that based on the books of the accounts, the promoter has not collected any money towards the project. So with these two affidavit and a CA certificate, so you can go and present before the authority, they will grant a registration, and having granted registration, the compliances are mandatory in terms of filing the quarterly update, at least 1 quarter, at least the quarter in which you obtain the completion certificate, minimum of 1 quarter should be completed to report as a completion. It is not that, okay, this is a registration what we have. You should report as a completion. For me to report a completion, you have to have at least one update on the website of the authority, followed by a completion formalities. So that is what is the answer, sir.
Yeah, I'll answer that. Just hold on. You have some question. He has answered. Okay, I'll just say, see, when you are registering a project, we are spending some more time here. The reason is, this is a foundation on which entire RERA is. So therefore, when an allottee or a developer, promoter comes to you for a consultancy, whether I need to register or not to register, from there everything starts. So therefore, we are spending some more time here. Now, I'll come to you. Question you are raised is, what about various updates, compliance that need to be done? He has answered you. Okay. So it is, according to me, whatever is, when you register a project, you need to give a CA certificate, wherein it says what is the estimated cost, what is the cost incurred, okay, what is the balance work to be done. So if everything is completed in all respect, you give a certificate to that effect. This is the estimated cost, this is the incurred cost, both remains more or less same, and there is no variation. Based on that certificate of a chartered accountant, architect, engineer, you get the project registered, and now how many number of units are there, whatever the approvals are there, which is in the next slide. What are the documents required for registration of a project? We'll come to little later, next stage. That is section 4 of the RERA gives you what are the documents required or the information need to be updated on the website to get the RERA registration. So I think we have answered your question. Yeah, you can take the mic. One more mic if you have. Yeah, no problem. I'll see, we'll interact, don't worry. We'll take the questions. I like to have interaction. Yeah.
So I can conclude my analogy telling that once I register as a completed project, the RERA authority will not ask for the compliance from the date of plan sanction.
Absolutely
it will
no.
ask only from the date of registration.
Absolutely.
For next 3 months, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm worried about the plan sanction.
This is my understanding, you're right.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, he will explain further.
See, if you see the recent laws, okay, the laws are different than the reporting aspect. How many practice on GST? Will your GST law fit into the forms you file it? Rather than the law, you should understand the forms. Rather than the law, you should understand it the reporting formats. The reason is 99.99% required something. Only in exceptional cases require something else. For an exceptional cases, authority may not facilitate at immediate stage. So that is what is the answer for you, sir. What happens is in RERA, there is something called start date and the end date. The moment you mention start date, that means project is started from that date. And today I have completed at this date. So mean to say that you started a project at one date and you are completing another date. In a normal scenario where you got a sanction plan, you started the project, you obtained the RERA registration. From the date of that quarterly update, you started filing. In your case, you are not here, you have come here on the completion. But still this project has something like a start date, right? You can't mention today is a start date and tomorrow is a completion date. In view of that, the moment you trigger this is my start date, this is my completed date, automatically the application which is developed by the authority will open up quarterly update of last 2 years because that is a start date and this is a end date. Got the answer, sir? So in view of that, you have two options. Option one, go back and upload all the 8 quarters, which is fairly easy in terms of upload as long as you have the information. If you do not have information, go back and apply a manual application with RERA authorities and meet the chairman explaining the difficulties. Sir, I do not hold any information of last 8 quarters, I have not marketed it, and I cannot expect my architect engineer to give a certificate of that date, past date about the status of construction. I request you to eliminate 7 quarters, allow me to have 1 quarter or 2 quarters. So they will deactivate those 6 or 7 quarters, quarterly filing, which is not relevant also for them, and they'll give you from the date of whatever the date you would like to have it, sir. This is the answer. In multiple cases, we have taken that stand and we have approached and it has happened also.
Yeah, some questions were there. Yeah.
So agricultural land projects are coming within the ambit of the RERA.
What is that?
Agricultural land plots, for example, now it's
very good. The RERA says the planning area.
Planning area.
The development that happens in the planning area. What do you mean by planning area? Planning area means in Maharashtra we have Maharashtra Regional Town Planning Act, where the development requires approval of a competent authority.
Town and Country Planning Act.
Here it is Town and Country Planning. Okay, there we call it Maharashtra Regional Town Planning Act. Here we call it as Karnataka Town and Country Planning Act, where the development requires the permission of a local authority under that law. Okay, now here I think agriculture land is covered under the agricultural code. Maharashtra Land Revenue Code is there. Here it must be Karnataka Land Revenue Code.
Correct.
Okay. So if it is an agriculture land, try to understand, if it is an agriculture land, that is not required RERA registration, it is not coming under RERA. Because there is no development which is taking place.
Take a scenario, there are 600 crores 600 acres have been developed with all the clubhouses, with all the facilities, but approval doesn't.
Now you are on the different track.
Correct.
Initially you said agriculture land.
No, I think I'll highlight this. Vinay must probably know that after the amendment of a 79 AB of the Land Reforms Act.
Your good name?
My name is Puttaraju.
Puttaraju. Okay, I'll explain, sir. Please be seated. Sir, what happening in the state of Karnataka? So, in having a one small piece of site in Bangalore cost about 30-40 lakh rupees or 50 lakh rupees or a crore rupees. So, in the last 4-5 years, the concept of the farmhouse has been started here. That too, post-COVID, the urge to buy one farmhouse is become more and more. So what the business community started is, they're acquiring the agriculture lands and have an option to sell 10 cents or 5 cents in different part of the states. So I think Tamil Nadu says about 5 cents, Karnataka may talk about 10 cents, minimum that. So they sell into a small pieces of land as agriculture land only. So in view of that, actually if you read the Karnataka Land Revenue Act, it is prohibited to make anything on the agriculture land. The way you are selling is, you can sell only the 10 cents. In between you are not permitted to put a road. In between you are not permitted to lay a cable of the, what is it, transformer. What you are trying to do is, in the name of a small house for the residing, you are building the farmhouses.
Correct.
And it has reached, it is heard by the already the assembly also. There would be some enactment to this also would be there. And if you see in every day's newspaper, own agriculture land with the farmhouse, guaranteed revenue, this These are all under Ponzi scheme. What is that? Collective investment scheme of SEBI. SEBI will also come into picture for all these schemes, sir. More than that, it is not covered under RERA for the simple reason, what is to be registered under RERA is a real estate project.
So it doesn't fit into the real estate definition per se.
Real estate project definition.
Sir, you are on the gray area now.
No, at the outskirts of Bangalore, a lot of things are happening.
Real estate
Let
project.
the authority decide on this, but I will just tell you the provisions of the act. The provisions act is very clear. If there is any plotted development,
Platted development.
plotted, P-L-O-T-T-E-D, plotted development, which gives you the common area like road, electricity, sewerage, clubhouse and all the amenities, and you are selling the plot, that is called a real estate project, and that requires RERA registration.
Vinay,
Now,
one more.
you need to tell that if at all somebody complains against you, saying that without RERA registration, he is selling the plotted development in the name of agricultural land,
Okay.
then the RERA will take a view, and I am not here to give you.
And I think the specific question to Vinay, now there's a lot of, after 79 AB amendment, a lot of projects are coming around the Bangalore. Now one of our clients has been that about 600 acres, not a small project.
Yeah, we know.
But they're obtaining 11 sketch, I think you might aware of it.
11E sketch
After
is
obtaining 11 sketch, it means that it's for agriculture land
Yes,
purpose.
sir.
They're having constructing a farmhouse within the limit. So hopefully that whether it will fit into this definition under the section 3 or not, that was the point.
101%.
Okay.
If you are talking about Bangalore, it's an urban area, it's a planning area, whether you convert into agriculture or don't convert into non-agricultural, or a conversion you don't do it, still you call it as a farmhouse. According to me, it's a real estate project because there are common areas which are given. Now let the RERA authority take a call on this.
Vinay, your viewpoint.
Okay,
Just
sir,
tell it.
what
Thank you.
happens
Thank you.
is, sir, this has heard by the RERA authorities also.
Okay.
Section 3(1) mandates the registration of a real estate project. Section 3(1), if you read, what is registerable is a real estate project. When you go back and see the definition of a real estate project, section 2ZN, real estate project means the development of a building or a building consisting of apartments.
You can put
or
the page number.
converted-
So like,
page
those
number
who-
20 of this act.
Page number 20.
20, if you are not having that, you can ask for that, they will provide this act book. Page number 20, section 2 of subsection 2 clause ZN. Real estate project means the development of a building or a building consisting of apartments or converting an existing building or part thereof into apartments or development of land into plots. Development of land into plots is called a real estate project. Yours is not a plot, it is a land, but you are not converting that into a plots. In view of this, it failed the definition of a real estate project, so section 3(1) is failed to register with the authority. For the simple reason is there is no plan sanction there. So there is no plan sanction under any of the statute, so that is why it is happening, sir. Sir, we are seeing this for the past 8 years, not now. We are advising various clients on these aspects, but it's a very gray area, but SEBI will come into picture if you are doing the collective investment scheme, number one. Second is, because you are guaranteeing something, you are guaranteeing that you will get a return of so and so, you will get, we will manage it, and end of 10-12 years, you will get 10 to 12 crore rupees per 10 acres of timber or something. That means you are guaranteeing some returns. This comes under collective investment scheme of SEBI, so they will hold you responsible if you are guaranteeing anything in future where there is an uncertainty with you or with the outcome itself. So that is what is the risk which is involved. Selling of agricultural land into pieces is not a challenge, but under Karnataka Land and Reforms Acts, there are various other challenges you have, sir, because you have to leave some in-between road to it, right? How are you leaving it? Whose land is that? To whom that land belongs to?
No, that road has already been defined in the scale deed, stating that, for example, we have a 2 flags over.
No, okay, we'll discuss it because now we will not be able to complete.
Yeah.
So let us proceed. You take it separately offline. Okay. And he is in Bangalore. I am in Mumbai. So that is a difference.
Sir,
And not sold, leased out.
Yeah.
Later after 2 years it is sold.
Very good question. One Lavasa Corporation, I've got a case law, but since it has come, now let me tell you. Lavasa Corporation in Mumbai, Pune, they made a innovative, because promoters are innovative and we consultants are giving more and more input to them. So he said, I have a building, multi-story building, but I am not going to sell in ownership. I am giving on
Lease.
9 years lease. 999 years lease. Okay. A question arises before the RERA, MARERA, whether it is covered under RERA or not. MARERA said, nowhere in the RERA, it's only talking about ownership. This is 999 lease, so it is not covered. The allotee did not leave. Allotee went to Maharashtra Real Estate Appellate Tribunal, the first appeal, and that's the last fact-finding authority. They said 999 is nothing but it is covered under the Transfer of Property Act, and it is nothing but a sale, and therefore it is a real estate project where money is collected in milestone, and therefore it is covered under RERA. Matter went to High Court. That is a second appeal. Question of law. Bombay High Court held and confirmed the decision of Appellate Tribunal. So therefore, even if it is a plotted development on lease or a building given on lease, still they are considered as real estate project. However, you construct a building and give on leave and license basis.
Rental basis.
Rental basis.
Leave and-
That is covered under the Easement Act. There is a separate act. What is covered under the Transfer of Property Act 1882 is real estate project. But something which is covered under the Easement Act, where you give a permission license to use the premises for a limited period, not on long lease basis, in that case rental is covered under the Rent Act. So then RERA is not covered. The next question.
So what happens, sir? He built a construction with the intention to retain it for own, but what will be the financial crisis?
Then it will no more a resale, and I don't think RERA need to trigger there.
Sir, if you read the definition of a further the definition of a project, it says you are developing a project with an intention to sell.
Correct.
Okay, so if you read same section 20, I've stopped off of it. If you continue that development of land into plots or apartment as the case may be for the purpose of selling. So when you construct it, there may be a intention of selling or not. Okay, so that has to be looked into that, and even after 2 years also, initially 2 years you are rented it out, then you have planning to sell one or all in the project, and when you built it, if the intention was sell, then come to RERA, otherwise fairly not. And generally it's a very small project will go through this. Nobody build 100 houses or 100 flats with an intention to rent, then they're going to sell after 2 years. Very small cases of 8 to 10, that would be the situation, sir.
Now, question on the slide. I have got 400 square meter land. I have constructed 10 apartments. Am I required to register under RERA? Yes. Yes or no?
More than 8.
I got more than 8. But plot size is 400 square meter. Or my plot size is 800 square meter. I got only 4 apartments constructed. Am I required to register under RERA? Or. So actually, according to me and a FAQ which is released by the central government, either one of the condition is fulfilled, you require to register under RERA. However, MARERA and MARERA Appellate Tribunal has taken a different stand. Appellate Tribunal, 2 members, judgment. One member said it requires registration because in that case 400 square meter, 12 apartments, he said it is required. Another just said no, 400 square meter, land is for the plotted development, number of units are for this, so here plot is a number of units and therefore it is required registration. And another person said no, it is combined, so therefore it is not required. Now the matter is pending before the Honorable High Court.
Then you probably use the word kind.
Yeah, it says or.
Or it's a negative
Yeah.
expression of a negative, hence the confusion.
So there is a confusion. We are also confused. But my simple question to my client, would you like to do the business, the real estate business?
Then they-
If you are thinking of doing an honest business, why you should be afraid of RERA? If you are transparent, you are doing everything, you should not be worried. The next question is, let us say the project is exempted under RERA. Project is exempted under RERA because mine is 400 square meter and I have got only 5 units. I am not required to register under RERA, so no compliance. The next question arises, whether the provisions of the RERA is applicable to that promoter, whether he is obliged to comply with other provisions like giving the conveyance, formation of the society, entering into an agreement, whether all other compliance, which of course we will see a little later, whether RERA is applicable to them, whether an allottee who has purchased the flat or apartment in a real estate project having 400 square meter, less than 8 units, doesn't require registration, can he go for his grievances before RERA? Yes or no? What is your understanding? Huh? You have to go to consumer protection. Yeah? Now, according to my understanding, Real Estate Regulatory Authority is set up. It has given certain provisions for compliance by the promoter, compliance by the allottee, and authority has been set up to dispute redressal, and therefore RERA registration or not a registration is a provision under section 3. But that does not mean that if the project is not registered, the law of the land is not applicable to that project, law of the land is not applicable to that person, and the authority can deny hearing this complaint. There are about 28 authorities which are already set up across India, but honestly,
Sir, you mean to say that applicability will continue?
honestly, different
Applicability-
authorities have taken different stand.
Applicability of the compliances following of your funds is mandatory. Read the section, proviso to section 2. Proviso to section 2 talks about exemption of these 500 or 8 units is for the purpose of registration of the project. What is exempted is the registration is exempted. Still they have to follow what will be the provisions of the RERA even for the smaller unit. Of course, when those things would be invoked when there is a complaint by the allottee, when there is a dispute between the builder and the promoter and the allottees in the project. As long as that is not there, fairly department or the government also or the authority also will not ask for those compliances. If there is a dispute, then certainly they will come back and ask these compliances. Sir, as of
Very
now-
good question.
Very good question, sir. Generally, sir, small apartments like 6 to 8 apartments, there will not be any dispute. Okay.
He is on
Generally.
the legal point. He is on the legal point. There is a dispute or no dispute, whether what is the stand taken by Karnataka.
Unregistered projects.
Yes.
Unregistered projects, authorities are hearing the unregistered project also and directing them to register.
But if it is exempted also,
Huh?
if it is exempted also.
Exempted, sir, those, as I'm telling you, practically those cases have not come before the
Okay,
authority.
ha.
Okay,
Now
that is
you are on
practical.
that point.
Authority can compel us to register even if it is below 8.
Yes. The state government can come out with a notification taking into account if they want to get the project registered, state government can, one more provision is there, provided further that even in
Appropriate
the
government.
planning area, not planning area,
So authority is a discretionary power is there to go for the registration.
correct, that government can come out with a notification. State government can come out with a notification that even if it is less than 8 units, less than 5 units, the state government can come out with a notification that it requires registration. My simple question is, Marera has taken a different stand. Marera says, if a project is registered with RERA, then I will entertain complaints. Otherwise, I am not going. So you go to the authority like civil court, but simple submission of mine is that the authority is set up, law of the land is there, you are here to
Regulate it.
regulate and hear the complaints of the allottees, and you cannot put them, because it is for the speedy disposal of the complaints, redressal. So therefore, according to me, Marera has taken a different stand. I don't agree with them, but law of the land will, in due course of time, Supreme Court will settle on this, because different RERA has taken a different stand. Let me tell you, Chhattisgarh RERA has heard a complaint of a project,
Completed.
okay, which was completed about 10 years back. A housing society came, RWA came to Chhattisgarh RERA saying that swimming pool was supposed to be given to me about 10 years back. As per the brochure, it's not given even 10 years or over. And the RERA is set up just now. And Chhattisgarh RERA said, no, you are right. So how much cost for swimming pool? The RWA said, now it is costing about 35 lakhs. Okay, give 35 lakhs to them and let the RWA build the swimming pool. Matter went to Chhattisgarh High Court.
So here DLP also,
Wait. It went to High Court, Chhattisgarh High Court. Chhattisgarh High Court said, yes, right. Because what you have promised, you have not delivered. So this all happens. So therefore, law will evolve. But right now, let me tell you, if your clients are doing a real estate business, ask them to register with RERA. Another interesting case came before Marera, and of course even Tamil Nadu RERA, that industrial units, industrial projects, whether they require registration or not. What is your view on that? Real estate project which is set up for the purpose of industry, whether RERA registration is a must or not? It's a must, because, it is not a must. Okay, why?
Does not differentiate whether residential or
Okay. Real estate project for commercial or residential purpose. So therefore it requires RERA registration. Marera taken a different stand.
Tamil Nadu taken a different stand.
Tamil Nadu has taken a different stand. Why I am saying all these case laws we are discussing? Because this is the law which is evolving. And where the more and more interest you take, you will definitely able to, get into the specialization.
Karnataka said register it for the simple reason that there is a land, there is a building, there is a customer in the project, there is a money involved, there is a planning has been taken, sanctions are made, promises are made. As such, the definition may not mention as an industrial. It also says about commercial. The moment it's commercial, obviously it is include the industrial land also. Karnataka is of the clear opinion, it applicable.
Now the matter is with the Honorable High Court, and then matter will settle. So anyhow, coming to the another aspect, Bombay High Court has ruled about 119 judgments in the second appeal. Okay, so you can understand where we are leading. Whereas Karnataka hardly 4 or 5. So far, in the last 5 years. Karnataka High Court. And Supreme Court must have handled about 10 to 12 RERA so far. So coming to the point that it is getting settled, and Supreme Court is the law of the land, which of course yesterday also one case law has been discussed. We will come to the next slide, section 4, very quickly. When you want to register a project with RERA, these are the disclosure, these are the information which you need to upload on the RERA so that an allottee gets the transparent view. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. So what documents I require to register under RERA? What is that? Consider if you are a buyer, what document you will ask? Fast. Plan approval, title deeds, then encumbrance certificate, latest tax paid receipts, then bank statement, mother documents. If you are a customer, RERA number, family tree, relating the flow of title and project detail specifications, then project cost. As a customer, why do you want, sir? As a customer, if you are a home buyer, bank approval, whether there is a litigation on the land or not dispute, then legal opinion from the advocate, then, sir, what are be the area approvals, planning authority, various agencies like railways, water, BESCOM, airport, fire, highway authority, What not? About 32 approvals, depends on the size of the project. Then, what else? That's all? I hope all of you have bought the houses, right, in Bangalore? Huh? You only say, sir, bank is approved, sir, so I'm buying it. Is that way? That is why customers also not coming to us to take any opinions. Legal opinion, a copy of agreement to sell, looking at what are the terms he has mentioned. Tri-party agreement in case of a JD, a landowner is different than the developer. Then, I think we should all, as a professional, we should know what is to be taken from the builder when we buy the apartment, sir, if not to the customer. Start date and the completion date, when he will hand over to me. Then, okay, KYC of the company. Then, valuation of what, sir? Okay, maybe valuation of building. OC will on completion, sir. Okay, that also you will take all approvals on completion. Then, what is the details of the common area? Pardon? Conversion fee in case if it is whether it's converted from agriculture to non-agriculture. Then, commencement certificate from time to time. Then, handover to the association and completion of the project. Then, milestone of completion of the project. 3 months first slab, another 4th month third slab. On third slab I will require to pay 10%, 4th slab 20%. That is time schedule of payment, time schedule of completion. Then project plan including what is sanctioned, what is permitted, what are the facilities, amenities, clubhouse specifications in the project. Then what is the price? Perfect. What is the price for me to buy it? Then, what is price includes? Price includes what? Base price, preferential location charges, common amenity charges, BESCOM water deposit, clubhouse membership, and applicable taxes. Then, madam. Exactly. All inclusive plus taxes. I'm just telling what is sale price means. Okay, then. Pardon me, sir? Okay, copy of GST registration because he's collecting GST invoice. Then he's collecting GST taxes. Sir wanted to ensure whether he's paying GST or not. Then.
You ask the carpet area calculation.
Exactly. Sir is asking area statement. How much my carpet area? What is my unit telling? Carpet area, common area, what is saleable area and super built up area? What is that you all see when a brochure is given for an apartment? Super built up area, right? You never look into what is your house. Price is calculated on super built up area, hence I will look only at the super built up area. Carpet area. Right? But where do you live? In the carpet. Right? Correct. Then sir, what else?
And within the as a percentage of the
Carpet area plus loading come to the saleable area or a super built up area. Then undivided share of land. I have a 1 lakh square feet of total land of the project. There are 1,000 apartments are coming out. So I am getting 100. 1,000 into 100 is 1 lakh, right? So undivided share in the land, unless Maharashtra follows the housing society model, where we have followed the UDS. Then exactly. In case of a future development, multi-phase development plan is coming out with the 2 towers, leaving all the 8 towers blank. Whether he will give the commercial there or will he give the again residential in the future? What is the future development? Then any encumbrance or any borrowings on that project land, right? Then okay, so RERA approve whether project is approved. If approved, what is 30 and 70? So this is the information required for RERA. Simple if you say. Okay.
So just to take you back through the wait. Basically, the title of the land encumbrance related to that, litigation related to the land, who are the developers, what are their credentials, is it a private limited company, what is their KYC, who are the partners, how the land is there, is it a joint venture, is it development, area sharing, whatever the entire thing related to the land. Then the construction, that is a planning authority, sanctioning, commencement, completion, milestone. Then comes your, what type of arrangement, agreement will be made by the allottee, their allotment letter, the agreement for sale or various milestone, payment schedule, and all this, and the RERA, account, how, the RERA account number, then the project cost, all the relevant minor details of the project has to be given before the project registration is granted. Then section 5 says within 30 days it has to be registered or rejected, and if it is not done, subsection 2 says it is deemed to have been registered, and thereafter of course you can get an extension of the RERA. Section 6 says you can get an extension beyond 1 year. Suppose I give a declaration to the RERA as a promoter that I will complete the project in 3 years, you have to complete in 3 years. At the most, if you, for certain reasons, force majeure, you are not able to complete, you can get an extension maximum up to another
1 year.
1 year. Then next is,
How many times can I apply for extension?
You can apply n number of time, but maximum given is 1 year. Initial you can ask for 2 months, then another 3 months, another 5 months, like that. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, no problem. Let me complete in another 5 minutes. Over you. Yeah, no. Because this is complete. Now, we'll come back in 5 minutes. I'll complete in 5 minutes, then you can come back. So, otherwise what happens is the flow. Now that my project is registered, I have got an extension of 1 year also, but still I have not completed the project. Now what happens? The project gets lapsed under section 7. Or if there is any complaint, 65 developers in Maharashtra, their project got revoked. Why? Because those 65 developers fabricated the sanction plan, entire bogus plan of one development authority, registered the project, sold units to the people, entered the agreement, RERA also registered the project without verifying the authenticity of the document, and then a municipal authority said these 65 developers have not got the sanction, they are all bogus. Then RERA went and cancelled. The ED has started enquiry. Those 65 developers FIR are filed and they are behind the bar. But what will happen to the allottees? They are into loss. Question is, now the RERA has passed a direction that all the approving authority also should put up all the plans online. Now that will happen. Coming to the point, section 7, the project can be cancelled or lapsed. Further, if it want extension, then the allottee should give the permission. Then on putting certain condition, the High Court said that more than 1 year also extension can be granted. Now section 8, very important. Once the project is lapsed, more than 4,500 projects in Maharashtra is lapsed. They have become stalled out of 30,000 projects. Now, 15% projects are stalled, stopped, the promoter has run away, allottee's money has taken away. Now it is an obligation of the authority. It's an obligation of the authority to take over the project and complete the project. And section 8 says, on the lapse of the project or the cancellation of the project, it becomes the obligation of the authority to get it completed through the association allotee or through the competent authority within a time-bound manner. So that is how the project is taken over by the authority once the project is cancelled. So this is all about registration of a project, lapsing of a project, extension of a project, and revival of the project, or completion of the project through the RERA. That is how the entire business gambit is there. We will discuss further on this. from the registration till the completion, what other obligation promoter has to do after we come back.
So we'll break for a tea for 10 to 12 minutes. One request, post tea break, we are expecting RERA chairman to be here to address us. I request the members who are sitting back, requested to come front and occupy the front seats. It will not be good to leave the front seats and sitting at the back. So don't think we are still in the school or the college to occupy the only last benches. Thank you. Definitions and the registration part of it, and in the registration, what is applicable, what are the exception to the registration, what happens if you don't register it within the timeline which is given by the authority, and what are the exceptional cases for a registration, and in case of a project which is not completed within the due date which is given for the completion, then there is a provision to talk about extension under section 6. 1 year of extension is permitted. Beyond 1 year of extension, under section 7, application should be filed by the promoter based on the facts of the case, based on the benefit of it. The authority may grant the extension. And section 8 talks about in terms of revocation of the project, where the promoter is absconded, promoter is not completing the project, where the authority through the appropriate government, that is the state government, will take over and complete the project. The similar cases are happened in the case of NCR, National Building Corporation. Company Corporation is the flagship company of the central government, taken over the large projects and they are completing it. So from section 1 to section 8 we have seen, and section 9 and 10 talks about the real estate agents. Under RERA, what is to be registerable is a two thing. One is a project, another is an agent. It is not the promoter registration. It is always the agent project registration. If a promoter is developing 10 different projects, 10 different projects to be registered as a project. It is not the promoter registration, it is the project registration. Second registration is required for an agent. Who is an agent? Section 9 and section 10 deals with the agent. The person who market, the person who advertise the RERA registered project, mandatorily to be registered under RERA as an agent. So he has something to be performed where he should not practice unfair trade practices. He should give the complete details documentation of the project in a transparent manner to the customers or allottees in the project. Section 9 and 10 talks about that. All your channel partners, all your brokers, all your agents who market the real estate RERA registered project should have the RERA registration with the authorities as an agent, and the validity for 5 years, and after 5 years there will be renewal. Renewal is possible, applicable. One more thing is about it. On the other side, flip side, RERA promoters, the promoter who having a registered project should not pay a commission or remuneration or brokerage to unregistered RERA agents. That means to say that you have a RERA registered project, somebody is marketing of that project should be a RERA registered agents. Or if somebody marketing other than RERA registered agents, then the promoter should not pay the commission or the brokerage or any remuneration to the unregistered RERA agents. And for that, as a chartered accountant, in the annual audit, if you see form 7, there is a separate table talks about the compensation, brokerage, remuneration paid to the RERA agent. So there I have to look at the financial statements of the promoters of the project, how much is the amount paid towards the brokerage, whether it is paid to the registered agent or not. If not, please qualify that. So this is what is the importance of section 9 and 10.
Okay. Going forward, section 9 and 10 is registration of a real estate agent, and section 10 talking about functions of the real estate agent, maintaining all the books of account and other things. Now obligations of the promoter. So we have seen section 3 to section 10. Section 3 to 10 registration, 8 registration of a project, 9 and 10 agent registration. Now obligations of the promoter, obligations of the builder or the developer. One, register the project before it is offered for a sale, we have seen. Secondly, upload all 5 years track record, information of the project, everything related to the project under section 4 of RERA. Section 4 again says 70% of the money received from the allotee should be separately kept in a RERA designated account, and that money has to be used only for the purpose of completion of the project. That money cannot be attached by even any institutions, even there cannot be charge on that money, and then that money, in order to use the architect certificate about the percentage of completion of a project, engineer certificate about the estimated cost incurred in completing the project, and the CA certificate to what extent the project has been completed. He has to certify the amount that has been invested in that project. To that extent, only after that certificate of a CA is given, amount from the RERA designated account can be withdrawn. In other words, RERA, that chartered accountant, gives a withdrawal limit to a promoter by way of a certificate saying that how much land cost and construction cost has been invested by the promoter in completing a particular project. Only to that extent that money can be withdrawn from RERA designated account. MARERA has gone to an extent saying that every withdrawal, when you are withdrawing the money from the RERA designated account, architect certificate, engineer certificate and chartered accountant certificate has to be given to the banker. Thereafter only that banker can allow the withdrawal from that RERA designated account. Once again, in order to have a financial discipline, in order to see that the money received from the allottees are not diversified, misutilized or misappropriated, siphoned off and used only for the project completion of that project that is related to the land cost and construction cost, is money has to be put in a separate RERA account. 70% money, 30% is available free for the promoter to use marketing or selling or administrative cost or calling it as his drawings. But 70% has to be used only for that project. And how that is ensured that this is used only for that project? That is, only first promoter has to invest the money towards the land cost, promoter has to invest the money for the construction, and once it is certified by the chartered accountant by verifying the books of account that so much cost is incurred in the land cost, so much is incurred towards the construction cost, only to that extent. That's a withdrawal limit given by charter. Only to that extent the money can be withdrawn from RERA designated account. Just to give an example, promoters, allottees have given 10 crores as a booking amount. I'm just giving an example. Out of 10 crores, 7 crores has to be put in a RERA designated account. That money gets blocked and that can be withdrawn only after CA gives the certificate. Now out of that 7 crore which is in a RERA designated account, if the CA gives a certificate that there is a 2 crores land cost incurred, 1 crore let us say concession cost so far incurred, that means how much money can be withdrawn from RERA designated account? Only 3 crores. Because that is the money which you have incurred. So remaining out of 7 crores, 3 crores can be withdrawn, 4 crores will remain in the RERA designated account, and after withdrawing these 3 crores, he invests in the RERA project. He further obtains a certificate from a chartered accountant that 1 more crore has been invested in the project. Then from the RERA account, he can withdraw another 1 crore. So this is how it is ensured that proper discipline about the financial discipline is ensured through section 4, section 2LD. Now comes the section 11, disclose all the details to the customer. You have to give the customer the details. Form the society, that is association allotee. More than 50% of the units are sold. In order to monitor, supervise and in case the project lapse, to take over the project and to facilitate the customers to come together, form their own union, the promoter has to facilitate formation of association of allotee once he books more than 50% of the units. Liable for damages for misinformation. If any information, misleading information is given, then he is liable for damages, not only damages and compensation. In such case, the promoter is liable to refund the entire money along with the interest and compensation. We were dealing with one particular project in Wadala, that is Mumbai. Each flat is costing 10 crores. Each flat is costing 10 crores. What is an arrangement? The arrangement is 2 crores you pay at the time of booking, 8 crores you have to pay at the time of possession. 2080 scheme. Now, he's on. Yeah, no problem. So as and when the chairman of RERA comes, we'll allow him to occupy the seat and ask him to deliberate, and thereafter we'll continue our session. He is expected. Now, in one of the case, Bombay Dyeing project, where about 530 apartments were there, which were sold under this scheme. Now, it was booked in the year 2012-13. Now, as the real estate was getting worse, 10 crores flat came down to 7 crore. One. The reasons are many, but forget about the reasons. But he did not deliver what he promised. He changed the plan in between. He delivered the lesser amenities, and therefore, allottees went to RERA saying that he advertised that there will be 2 clubhouse, but he gave 1 clubhouse. He advertised there will be 55 story, now he has made 50 story. So many things. 2 different towers with 2 different gated community, but 2 towers he made 1 common amenities, common clubs. So everything was, RERA said, these are the promises done in 2012 on the brochure. And now you are coming and telling us in 2017 or 18 that these are not up to the mark. No, I don't accept. RERA refused. Section 12, they did not allow to invoke. Then the matter went to appellate tribunal. Appellate tribunal held, though the project was started earlier, but what was advertised should be delivered. It is not given, so 2 crores along with the accrued interest at the rate of 10% should be given. That means as against 2 crores, over a period of 10 years, it was coming to 4 crore. Now, 4 crores was awarded. Matter went to High Court. High Court also held that Section 12 has triggered, and therefore they have to be refunded. Matter went to Supreme Court. That promoter did not leave because 530 projects, more than 100 allottees wanted their money and booked at 10 crore, and now he is selling at 6.5 crore. 3.5 crore value has gone down. Now, if I get 4 crore, by putting another, say 2.5 crore, I get same. So the people are very smart. Though matter went to Supreme Court did not entertain. They said no. Section 12 triggered because what has been promised has not been delivered. So therefore, even in the brochure, something is given and that is not delivered, so that is a violation and person can exit from the scheme. Similarly, Section 13 talks about, look at the way allottees are protected. Average cost of the land is at least 50% of the apartment cost. 50% is land cost, 50% could be, let us say, construction cost. But the moment allottee pays 10% or promoter wants to receive more than 10%, the agreement for sale has to be registered. It has to be stamped. That means the right of that apartment has to be transferred to the allottee on receipt of only 10%, and that money what he is receiving, even 10%, 70% need to be put in a RERA separate account and to be utilized only for that project. So this is where Section 13 comes, and if you violate this, of course there is a violation of Section 13 and there are various complications or the difficulties or the penalty which is imposed. What is the penalty? Penalty is 5% of the cost of the project till it goes up to 30% of the cost of the project. So it is a huge penalty. So therefore people are more concerned. Second, Section 14 says, if you want to amend the plan, what you have put on the RERA website, or at the time of booking what plan you have shown, if you want to make any amendment, 2/3 allottee's consent is required. Once you have sold the apartment on a certain particular plan and you want to amend the plan, then unless until 2/3 allottee gives the informed consent, the plan cannot be amended. And therefore, this is another thing. Next is, section 14 also says that in case there is any defect in the construction, there is a defect in the workmanship, quality, then next 5 years, the building and the apartment need to be maintained by the promoter at his cost. So that means you cannot simply give an apartment, defective apartment, so next 5 years you need to maintain defect liability. Section 15 says that if the promoter wants to sell the project, look at the way such a rigid law has been made, where real estate promoters were never and ever was controlled. All of a sudden, there is a lot of control which has come on the real estate promoters, and that has made them to go to Honorable High Court. Nearly 40 promoters had gone to different high courts, which I will take you to little later. 40 promoters, different associations in different high courts, saying that this RERA is ultra-virus, the constitution. It is taking away the fundamental rights of the businessman to do the business the way he wants, and this regulation has come to such an extent that it enables the allotted associate allotee or the authority to take over the project if we don't complete within a time-bound manner. So this is something which is uncalled, and so many issues were come up. And even section 15 says, even if you start the project, you want to sell the project to somebody, you want to create third-party right, without 2/3 allottee's consent, you cannot sell the project also. That means there is complete restriction on a sale of the project also. Now what could be the reason? Just to give you insight. Suppose I take a branded of Tata or Birla or maybe Godrej, Mahindra Lifespace. I take a branded developer, and I start selling the units. I do the booking, I take the money, and later on this promoter who has facilitated the development and used his brand value, and tomorrow you sell this project to XYZ, because you have booked, taking into account the brand value of the promoter. And therefore this type of sale of the project is controlled with two radar. Yes sir, most welcome. So we'll definitely start this. Yeah. So 2/3 allottee consent is a must. Not only that, one more rider, that just because you have taken 2/3 allottee's consent with certain manipulation or misinformation, that is not enough. Even the authority has to give the permission. That means it is double-edged. One is the 2/3 allottee consent, whom you have sold the apartment, plus the authority consent is also a must in order to sell the project or transfer the project to another person. Take the insurance of title and building. Right now, the title insurance of the land has not yet been notified by the central government, and therefore, or by the state government, or the appropriate government has not notified, and therefore section 16 is not yet effective, implemented. But building insurance are always taken, and title insurance also is a must. Now why title insurance is a must? Because any defects in the title, the promoter is held responsible, irrespective of the law of limitation. Normally, law of limitation for any compensation is a period of 3 years under Article 137 of the Law of Limitation Act. However, Section 18, subsection 2 of RERA says, irrespective of the law of limitation, if there is any defect in the title, then the promoter shall make good the loss, the damages. So that can be 100 years, 2 years, 200 years, 50 years, 25 years. Any defect of the title can surface any time. So therefore, in order to take the promoter's risk to reduce, section 16 has been incorporated, where it says that title insurance has to be taken by the promoter and the premium has to be paid, and that is how the title insurance, then transfer of the title. See, this is the concept which has been borrowed from Maharashtra. if you look at other than Maharashtra, Gujarat, maybe Goa, these are the western belt where the land, the common area has to be held by the society. That has to be transferred to the society. That is an association allotment, which is registered under the Cooperative Societies Act or Companies Act. And thereafter, every member of that association or the society or the company gets the occupancy right of the flat. And borrowing from that principle, I have given you the insight as to, in the beginning, how a cooperative housing society movement started, how the title were held by the housing society, how the apartments were owned by the members through the society, and all the, taking care of the common area is with the society. Coming to that concept, Section 17 has been introduced, where it says that the land and title or the common area has to be transferred to a housing society or a association allotee within 3 months from the date of getting the occupation certificate, once the project is complete. Last, Section 18.
Ramesh sir, one small. See, you are
Now-
correct in terms of the cooperative. What will happen if it is Eastern Apartment Ownership
Yes.
Act in the UDS? Still in Maharashtra they are transferring to the association. Is that possible or not?
No, under see, there are two different law. One is Apartment Act, one is the Cooperative Society Act, where the association allottees are registered. If it is under the Apartment Act, then of course UDS will happen. That is, undivided share will be given, where every apartment owner will have an undivided share in the apartment, undivided share in the land in proportion to the area that he has purchased. So that is a deed of declaration which is registered under the Apartment Act, and based on that, deed of apartment is made, and in that case, naturally undivided share will go to the allottee. It does not go to the society. But it is largely emphasized by the central government that the land being a common area, all this has to go to the association allotee, so that in case of a redevelopment, because now in Maharashtra, especially in Mumbai, more than 60-70% of the buildings are going for redevelopment. There, if there are 100 members are holding a title, it becomes difficult to get the consent of 100 people. If the title is in one name, a collective entity, it becomes easier. That is the reason Section 17 has come. Section 18, last provision will deal with, that Section 18 says, there are hardly 3 sections, subsections. Section 18, subsection 1 says, if the project has to be completed within a time-bound manner, and as per the agreement for sale, whatever the date he has mentioned in the agreement for sale, he has to complete the project with the completion certificate or an occupation certificate, and he has to hand over to you the position. If it is not handed over, the allottee has 2 options. One, he can withdraw from the project, ask for the entire money he has invested along with the interest as per the provisions of the RERA, that is SBI's MLRC, that is plus 2%, or he can continue in the project. He can continue in the project, and he is entitled to get an interest for the delayed period, again at the rate of SBI plus 2%. On the entire money that he has invested. So this is Section 18, subsection 1. Section 18, subsection 2 talks about, yes, in the case of defect in the title, irrespective of the law of limitation, the promoter has to make good the loss or the damages for the defects in the title. And the last is subsection 18, subsection 3 says that if there is any violations of any sections and there is any loss which is incurred to the allottees are entitled to claim the compensation. These are the provisions of Section 18, and you can understand the entire focus is to control the activities of the promoter, give them a timeline, and then see that they comply with the various provisions of the Act, and the allottees are protected in all respect. From the date they book, by paying 10%, you get 100% of the title in your name by registered deed. And then, once you sell more than 50%, you form an association allotee so that you are able to, know each other. And if the project is getting lapsed or stalled, then the association allotee can go to the RERA and get the project, cancelled or get the facility to get the project completed. I'll give you 3-4 cases. Have you heard about Mehul Choksi? Government of India could not catch him, but MHRERA could catch him In other words, that project which was stalled more than 5 to 7 years, the moment he absconded, the Association Authority came together. The entire project was attached by ED, entire project was attached by the municipal corporation for non-paying the tax. However, the authorities came together, formed an Association Authority and took over the project, and today, believe me, that project is completed. Each flat was costing about more than 2 crores, and today that project is completed. Do you think that ED was sitting silent? No. We could convince ED saying that you have attached certain flats, about 54 flats out of 154 flats were attached by him, 100 flats were sold. We said we will complete the project as an allotee. We are going to take the permission from the RERA, and your 54 flats which are attached, being unsold, we will make it ready and we will make it marketable. So you will be able to earn more. So don't worry about it. We paid 50% of the taxes payable to the authority, that is municipal corporation. We said, please open up the gate. So let us appoint a contractor and get the project completed. That is how the projects has been completed. There are various MADA projects, there is SRA projects which are stalled, which could have been completed, more than 7 to 8 projects which we could manage and handle. What I'm saying is, RERA has become a boon. It has been protecting the interest of the allottees, and I think in all respect, if a promoter is not a serious business person and he is not inclined to complete the project, or he is not having that intention, I think he will think 10 times before coming to it. As I said, 65 promoters have been put behind the bar, and ED is after them because of the MARERA order, where a promoter tried to manipulate the plan and get the RERA registration. So therefore, now MARERA has come to an extent that they are appointing an investigator, because investigator, that expression of interest has been taken and things are going far beyond. And there are other things which I will definitely deal with you. The chartered accountants who gave a certificate saying that there is no money which is involved by the promoter, which is taken from the allottees, are used for the project. A certificate was granted by the chartered accountant saying that all the money which is received are only in the form of loan. But one of the allottees went and complained to the RERA. RERA investigated and found that there are few allotment letters based on which the promoter had taken the money before the project is registered. Because chartered accountant gave a fake certificate, he was made liable for a disciplinary action. What I'm saying is, there is enough opportunity, at the same time there is enough strictures which may be passed. This happened in Gujarat RERA, certain things have happened in MARERA. One more, MARERA, the matter had gone up to High Court. What was the matter? An engineer, that is a licensed surveyor, one who gets the plan approved, and there we are permitting him to give a completion certificate. When the project was not completed, he gave a completion certificate. Based on that, municipal corporation gave a completion certificate. Based on that, flats were handed over for possession. But Association Authority said, no, project is not completed. MARERA said, nothing doing. The Common Authority has certified that project is completed, so therefore I am not going into deeper, I am not above the Common Authority, so the project is completed. Matter went to Appellate Tribunal. What Appellate Tribunal should do? Appellate Tribunal said, okay, now promoter is saying completed, you are saying it is not completed, let me appoint a inspection. So he appointed an inspection authority. They went, gave me the report, joint report, that only 95% is completed, 5% is not completed. MARERA, Appellate Tribunal directed the MARERA to take a disciplinary action against the engineer. And matter went up to High Court. High Court said nothing doing. These are the fact-finding authorities. They have found that there is a violation, therefore action has to be initiated. What I am saying is, even professionals need to be more careful. And of course, Karnataka RERA, I was very happy with the way form number 7 has been drafted. It is one of the evolving form. Of course, MARERA has not been taking that proactive step, but Gujarat RERA has been taking a very good proactive step. But again, they are not that strict as far as the audit is concerned. Karnataka RERA has taken a best efforts in evolving the form in 2 parts. I think that is best of it, and I think there is enough opportunity, but one has to be very careful. We will deal with other case laws. post Chairman Sir's lecture. Thank you very much.
I request Secretary Bangalore Branch and MC Member Tupad to escort our guest Kishore Chandra IHC IPS Chairman Karnataka Real Estate Authority Regulator. I request Tupad to introduce the guest.
Good afternoon, members. I have been given the privilege of introducing our chief guest as of today, Mr. H.C. Kishore Chandra. He hails from Mysore city. He has done his total education from the Mysore city since schooling till collegiate education. He has been a law graduate and has secured a third rank in the Mysore University. He has also a diploma in Russian languages. So Mr. Kishore Chandra is a native of Hanumali from Mysore district, the fourth son of the couples of Chamaya and Soroja Chamaya. His father, Mr. Chamaya, was a professor of botany, Yuvraj College, mother, homemaker, and acute devotee of Sri Ramakrishna Ashram. So his spouse, Miss Rupa, is again a graduate of home science and hails from Bangalore. So he has been blessed with two kids, elder Miss Chaitra, who has done her architecture from the London School of Architecture and currently a consultant in Bangalore, and younger daughter Miss Chinvata KR, a law graduate from Christ College and pursuing her education from Lee Garden Blue, London. So brief introduction of Mr. Kishore Chandra. He was appointed as a Indian Police Services Joint and the Police Department in the year 1984. He was Assistant Superintendent of Police at Yadgiri Subdivision. On promotion, he is Superintendent in the Police. He has worked as Superintendent of Police Bijapur, Kolar, Mysore districts, and COD Intelligence and Deputy Commissioner of Police Traffic, Bangalore City. Again, on promotion as a Deputy Inspector General of Police, he worked as a DIG, Economic Offences, Karnataka Lokaayukta, headquartered to. He was Inspector General of Police. He worked as a IGP and Commissioner for Youth Service and Sports, Managing Director of Kionics, Additional Commissioner of Police, Law and Order, Bangalore City, Inspector General of Police, Intelligence and Inspector General of Police, Economic Offences. He was Additional Director General of Police. He worked as an Additional Director General of Police Communication, Logistics and Modernization, and Additional DGP for Law and Order. So, on promotion, he has worked as the DGP, Fire Service and Home Guards, and DGP, CID, Special Invites and Economic Offences. He has retired from the services as a Director General of Police, Chairman and Managing Director, Karnataka State Police Housing and Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited. Major achievements of Mr. Kishore Chandra is he was posted as SP Kolar districts. He held the forces for successful controlling of communal riots during the preparation of few celebrations, and he is applauded by the Home Minister's late Baire Gowda in Legislative Assembly for his work. He was one among the chosen brave officers to nab Veerappa and his gang in 1992. He served as the SP Mysore districts during the attack as on IPS officers, Mr. Hari Krishna and Gopal Halur and other police officers. Mr. Kishore Chandra, the then DGP of Bangalore cities, he supervised the sensational 1997 kidnapping of industrialist Mr. Nirmal Kumar Jaipuria in Bangalore city under his supervision, the police was successful in locating the hideouts of the abductors to rescue Mr. Jopuria. Yeah, he was awarded the Chief Minister's Gold Medal for arresting the criminals who possessed the firearms. While serving in CID as CID Special Economics, he serviced the investigation for cases related to serial bomb blasts in Gulbarga, Karnataka. Criminal belongings to Amjuman Group were convicted. He, as a DGP, he handled surprise many important high-profile cases. To name a few were the question paper leakage scam. CID, he was as a he arrested prime accused, the brain behind the leaking of question papers, and 11 of his associates. His international skimming rackets was busted by the crime branch of police of CID Karnataka. 2 Hungarian and Romanian nationals were arrested. Personal inquiries was conducted by Mr. Kishore Chandra, DGP CID, upon the directions of Supreme Court in the case registered by Nazarbagh Police Station in Mysore. The forging of documents and transferring the property worth ₹100 crores belonging to the British national Dutch origin were recovered and accused was arrested. As a chairman and managing director of Police, Karnataka State Police Housing and Infrastructure Development Corporation Limited, it was able to make profits of 30 crores, which depicted his good administration. Currently, Mr. Chandra is the chairman of RERA. I introduce here before you Mr. Chandra, sir. Thank you, sir. May I call upon Mr. Chandra, sir, to address the...
Thank you for the introduction, elaborate introduction. You must be wondering as to why a policeman is sitting here.
That's the first remark.
Probably I am the only police officer in the country, IPS officer in the country, who is heading a RERA in India. All others are basically either retired chief secretaries to government or who have retired as secretaries to government of India. Having said so, I'm very privileged and also honored to have been invited to address this gathering. I have the highest regard for chartered accountants. I say so because I would like to start with a personal note. Indirectly, if I'm in IPS today, I should say one of the chartered accountant was responsible. You might say he was my classmate, and I belong to that category of persons who does not require medicine to go asleep. Opening a textbook would put me to sleep. But I saw my classmates studying for chartered accountancy during when I was doing my education and writing for the civil services. They used to really work hard, study hard. 16 to 18 hours a day for months together was the amount of hard work that was put. And I was given to understand there were some quota. Beyond that quota, people, they would fail, the institute would fail, so that they don't want everybody to come. And I do not know the system now, but then even if you have passed 3-4 papers of a particular group, if you have not passed the entire group, then you are bound to take all the exams again. It was that hard. I used to tell him, at least if you had taken exam like me, you also would have been a civil servant in much more cushy jobs than what you are trying to be. So, being with him, I was also motivated to at least study 6 to 8 hours for a couple of months, and that is where I am. And this I'm not just telling you, I keep on repeating wherever I want in case he is no more, unfortunately. But I am here in IPS because of him, because I could also tag on with him to open my books and study for some time. This example I give you because why I am tell you that I have the highest regard for chartered accountant is entry into this league is very, very tough. All of you who have made it out of your merit, out of your hard work, and you deserve one of the highest respects that any profession would carry. Now I would like to, I have heard for a few minutes about Mr. Ramesh speaking to you very elaborately on this RERA. I would certainly not so go section-wise. I would also like to give him more time so that he would address a lot of things about RERA to you. See, ultimately RERA believes it has, what I was also in insurance for a couple of years before I joined. We have a term, aburema fide, that is utmost good faith in insurance. It is a trust between the insurer and the insured. What does it say? That everything should be revealed to the other party. So the contract has to be done based on providing full information. So who provides full information in the building community? One of the major players is the chartered accountant. Apart from the engineer, the builder has to depend. If I think you must have been aware that in any RERA project, there are 3 people who have to be appointed by the builder. 1 is a chartered accountant, 2 an engineer, 3 an architect. And on the financial aspects of it, the role of the chartered accountant is very, very important. That is where your role comes into being. Trust to the allottee. Crores and crores of rupees are paid. Probably I do not know whether Mr. Ramesh spoke as to why they found it necessary for RERA to be enacted at all. And what we call as legacy cases in Karnataka, probably North India it was much more. People have been looted of crores and crores of rupees. Today when we sit in RERA hearing cases which are pre-RERA, that is before the RERA came into force, we find the builder missing. Various types of frauds have taken place. Landowners have been defrauded by builders. There have been several cases where the builder has got into a JDA with a landowner, where the apportionment of sharing was there 40-60 or 50-50 depending upon the area. He has built his portion of the tower, sold it and ran away. So the landowner is left with only the other portion and no construction. So such builders have been there. And then obviously there have been no such act to ensure that things are in place. We have been, because this RERA Act is a retroactive act, has been declared, it affects every ongoing project which are ongoing as on 1st May and within the 3 months grace period. 31st July onwards, we in RERA have taken this go. As on 31st July 2017, any project which has not reached the stage of completion is an ongoing project and they have to be registered with RERA. We have hundreds and hundreds of projects still which are not registered, but unfortunately when RERA was created in Karnataka, it has been created more like a government department than a quasi-judicial authority. In spite of that, with whatever manpower, we have been trying to achieve our best. In fact, Maharashtra RERA, what you have been hearing, is one RERA which is the leading light in the country. In fact, if you go through the RERA Act, the Maharashtra RERA was repealed in this central act because that was the only act which was prevalent much before the central government and parliament enacted the RERA Act. So they have leaps and bounds ahead, and I was just looking at that book. Probably only in the Maharashtra you have this more than 1,000 pages book. I think you should all be in possession of it, whoever handles RERA or whoever is handling projects related to building community. See, as I said, please ensure that whatever you do, you are a trustee of the allotee. You may be you may be paid as a consultant, you may have been paid to ensure that you file returns to RERA, everything is there. That is obviously as a professional, whatever you get, you may get. But please know one thing, you are a trustee, because I don't need to explain to you how your ethical code of ethics in chartered accountancy. You have your own obligations, you have your own limitations as to how you have to do. Some in the Companies Act I also am aware of, but I have not gone through your ethical code of chartered accountancy, but common sense tells me that you are bound by a certain principle, by a certain code. Please ensure that everything is revealed by the builder. So when the allotee comes for an agreement of sale, let him be aware of various aspects of the building. So it is for him to decide. So once in the short run, you might be, by not revealing things, you might be helping the builder to do certain things, but in the long run, it affects the real estate sector. If the real estate sector has to work on principles of equity, principles of openness, then there should be no deception, there should be no concealment of any aspect, financial aspect. One issue, I think I'll raise certain issues with, so that Mr. Ramesh can also answer, is on mortgage. I have found when the real estate has been registered, certain amount has been shown as mortgage. The interest from the escrow account, which is shown as outgo, is from the mortgage. One question which has yet to be settled is, when the mortgage amount has not gone into the project, why should the interest go out of this escrow account? If the mortgage account had come, amount which has come into the escrow accounts, thereby ensuring that amount of loan also is used only for that specific project, then I agree that the interest component should go. But this is happening, and we have to find a solution, probably here or elsewhere. Probably I would like to seek his also counsel as to how best we can sort these things out. And in fact, I want to introduce in Karnataka RERA that whenever the builder states that certain amount of loan has been taken into the project, I would like to ensure that amount goes into the escrow account unless it has gone into purchase of land or for the building plan and other things. Minus all these things, all these amounts which have been used for the project before he registers in RERA, rest I feel, and I am of the firm opinion that it should also be reflected in the escrow account. So probably he might brief you, and you might have to take a call on these things for the future RERA project, whoever are looking into the RERA. Another issue which comes out is there are two things which are happening. One, the High Court of Karnataka in one case ordered payment of refund of a particular allottee from the escrow account. We have freeze to that extent, but escrow account with the builder is an amount held by the builder in trust. It is not the builder's money, it is allottee's money to be used 100% for the project. No, there can be no deviation. There have been two deviations which we have been witnessing. In fact, I had taken up this issue with the Reserve Bank of India, Regional Reserve Bank of India also. I had a lunch with the regional director. And the regional director asked me to give specific instances. What has happened in a couple of cases where the builder has been in default of his payments to the bank. The bank have taken a siphoned, I should use this word, siphoned off this money from the escrow account which is with them to adjust to their loan account, which I am of the firm opinion, and Karnataka RERA is the firm opinion, cannot be done because loan account is different, and this is an amount meant for project construction, project completion, and it has to be only used for that purpose. The ratio is also given depending upon the construction cost, construction stage, based on your certificate, the architect certificate, the chartered accountant certificate, and the certificate by the engineer. Only then drawals can happen from this account. There cannot be any other way of taking over these accounts. We have also approached the High Court and told the High Court that their interim order asking us to freeze this amount has to be recalled because this is not the builder's account, this is and refund under section 18 has to be done by the builder, not by using the allottee's money. So please ensure that such things, whenever it comes to your notice, because again, you are also, I believe, and you also would agree with me that you are also in trust, because you have passed an exam, you have a code of ethics. Ensure that such amounts which do not belong to the builder cannot be siphoned off to pay off his liability. This is one aspect these are the two things which I wanted to bring to your notice, that the amount which has been held has to be taken, ensured that it has to be done. Then in Karnataka RERA, I hope most of the people here are chartered accountants belonging to Karnataka. We have not so far been receiving the annual audit report. I think now you must have just mentioned that
Form number 7.
Form 7. So very recently we have released this form, and as I said, because of various issues, constraints we have not been able to, we want to go a long way. And probably we would like to take your assistance also to do that. I am quite impressed with whatever you have heard from you, to improvise things so that at least in the next 3 or 4 years, probably after my retirement, when a new chairman comes, he will be sitting on a cushy chair instead of a chair where a lot of things are left undone. I would certainly, it is also a sort of challenge for me to ensure that, look, people are looking at what could a police officer do in a such thing. I would like to prove that. I have also told that on day one when I took over, the day when I retire, probably another 18 months from now, both the builders and the allottees should be happy that something concrete has happened. We have been making lot of refund orders. There have been basically 3 major judgments which we rely upon. One was by the Bombay High Court on a reference by the Supreme Court in the Neel Kamal judgment, then the Macrotech judgment and the New Tech judgment. I would recommend all the chartered accountants in the real estate sector to please go through all the 3 judgments thoroughly. They would give you a good control over, good idea as to what has to be done in the real estate sector, apart from certain judgments in the High Court of Karnataka. So, when about the occupancy certificate, Karnataka High Court and probably government of the Supreme Court also in one judgment has held no possession, no sale deed can take place till the occupancy certificate is received. But again, pre-RERA or even post-RERA, allottees do demand at least let me have possession of the property where the project is not complete. These are certain things which the RERA Act needs to be looked into. I don't say that the RERA Act is very comprehensive and is an end-all for all the problems of allottees faces or even the builder faces. There is one aspect which have to be addressed at some point of time as to when, what a definition of an ongoing project means. There have been quite a few complaints saying, sir, as on this date, OC is not been received, so it is an ongoing project. But there is also a point of view, a counterpoint of view, saying two aspects have to be fulfilled to consider a project to be registered in RERA. One, it should be an ongoing project, and 2, it should not have been received a occupancy certificate. If the project is complete in all aspects, handed over, I have been seeing a couple of cases where the maintenance is being done before 5 years, 10 years before the RERA has come into force. But due to deviations, earlier the deviations was the order of the day. And receiving OC is not such a very easy thing in Karnataka. I do not know about other aspects, other states in India. So this deemed provision is not generally approved, though it says once you apply for occupancy certificate, if there is nothing heard from them within a 30-day time frame, then you have to, it is considered as deemed registration. What they do is within 30 days they put one query and it keeps pending. So these are tricks of the trade which I think you know better, I don't need to explain them. So in such aspect, what would happen? It should be treated as whether both the criteria are to be fulfilled, or no OC means whether it comes under RERA, no concrete judgment has come. Though in one judgment of Chandrachud, they say, or delivered by Justice Chandrachud, it says that till OC comes, the builder has to keep on maintaining, which I don't think is very good unless it has to be interpreted. That judgment itself has to be interpreted depending upon the definition. So another is till which date RERA supervision over the builder should end. See, there is no time frame so far as the liability clause is concerned, which has been explained to you. But there is one section, I think section 14, which states about the 5-year structural liability. There the one particular, any other aspect also is included, not only structural liability. So there have been certain advocates who say that RERA time frame is 5 years. from the date the possession is handed over to the association of allottees or the possession has been taken over. So such issues probably, I also encourage people to go on appeal in case they are not happy with, certainly one of the two parties would not be happy with our orders. These things have to be at a certain point of time settled in high courts or Supreme Court over a period of time. I also always keep referring. So I am being from the police also again say, IPC which was enacted in 1861 is till date being interpreted in high courts and Supreme Courts. So RERA Act is a 5-year act. It will continue to be interpreted, reinterpreted, reviewed. All these things keep taking place. But that doesn't mean we have to keep waiting for a long period of time. In whatever capacities we have, we will continue to do it. And as chartered accountants, because you can also appear before RERA. If you have seen section 55 or 56, you are one of the authorized representatives of the builder to appear. When you appear, my only sincere request to you all is, please guide, do not join there. I am not for a moment saying all builders try to shortcut or the allottees. There have been builders who are very reputed, who do not, I am not only speaking of the brand names, even single project developers also want to ensure. In fact, in one case, one builder asked me for registration of just 1 year. I said, why can't you take more? Why do you want to take 1 year? No, sir, my reputation will be at stake. I want to prove that it was not a builder, it was a layout, so he could have done it. I want to prove to my allottee that I can do it in 1 year's time. So that in the long run, people develop trust in my layouts and they would come to me. My marketability will improve. Such builders are also there. So I am not for a moment saying that everybody is trying to shortchange the allottee. But certainly, from Chanakya days, it has been saying, when honey is there, even the most honest fellow try to lick it. So these things do take place, but ensure, because it is ultimately ensure that it becomes a win-win situation. It is a win-win situation for the builder, it is a win-win situation for the allottee. And all that RERA looks into is, as the Kerala chairman had once marked, we only promise what you, deliver what you promise. We do not ask for a single moment to ask you to do something beyond. And I'll end with a couple of more things, because I would like Mr. Ramesh to explain to you more details. Sometimes it is happening. I have a case now where the builder had promised to deliver in 2024, sometime in March or May 2024. The complainants have come and said, sir, he is asking us to take delivery now, 2 years ahead. He states it's a breach of promise. So there is nothing in the Act which the Act only says the delivery has to happen as on the date or earlier to what is promised. This is because some builders are trying to take more time in view of the period of delay interest which would crop up from day one after the promised date of delivery is there. And for your information, for certain people, certain builders have come up with a thing saying, sir, date of registration of RERA. We do not take date of registration, end period of RERA for the period of calculation of interest. We only go by the promised date of delivery as per the agreement of sale. So ensure that whenever agreements are done, even the builders take a very practical aspect of when you can deliver. And probably as a tip I can tell, it is for the builder and the engineer and you are also part of that. See, there are building which phases of building which takes place. Certain, say there are 4 towers. Tower 1, the building would have taken place much earlier to Tower 4. But the builder normally ensures a common facility that you are building, what you call swimming pool and other common facilities, only after he builds the Tower 4. So in your contract, only you would mention this date, and amenities, a different date is not mentioned, which has also been cause for certain aspects of disputes. So to reduce the disputes with us also, ensure that everything is clearly laid out in the agreement of sale, and agreement of sale should also be not one-sided. In fact, in one of the major builder, I would not like to name the builder, he is an all India fame. He had made a possession letter in such a way that it throttles the allotee. We had to pass an interim order saying, asking him to remove these clauses. Please ensure, as a chartered accountant, wherever your role is there, that these clauses are equitous to both the builder and the allotee. It should not be just one-sided, because one-sided orders are bound to be struck down by RERA. It is already as per these are all judgments which we will have to take, ensure that it happens. So having said so, certainly I would again not go back into all the details. When you also come for registration, please ensure that the balance of what the builder's 3 years balance sheet, everything is uploaded. All those things are in the Act. I don't need to specify everything. Please ensure that even in the JDA is structured in such a way that the allotee will not be affected at a later point of time, and also that take care of the builder's interest. Ultimately, you are taking your you have a contract with him, but doing it, you do not please for a moment think that you are only for the builder. Please, again, before I end this, I would like to say you are also a trustee by law of everyone to whom you have to serve. And here, by being a builder's appointee, you still have an obligation to ensure that the trust placed in law in you towards the allotee is also unhindered and absolute. Thank you once again for having given me an opportunity to share. And again, that I have the highest respect. I know, being a chartered accountant, you have struggled through, you have a particular class of intellectuals in this country. Not everybody can become a chartered accountant. And in fact, without naming anything, I'll say one of the a frustrated attemptee of a chartered accountant told me when I said, "What have you studied while playing a round of golf?" He said, "Sir, have you read about this?" I said, "So and so God never fails." I would not like to say, never fails. So one frustrated chartered accountant attempt I had written below, unless he attempts a CA exam. So having said this, I again once again thank all of you for having invited me and given an opportunity. We might probably in the next 18 months keep meeting in various fora. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your humble and honor words about the chartered accountants. It's our honor to be to invite you here and being part of today's program. You mentioned at the beginning and at the end of the speech also about chartered accountants. Thank you so much on behalf of everybody, sir. Just brief you, sir, that today's program started at 10 o'clock and Ramesh sir has started his speech to explain the concept of the real estate from Mumbai from 1915, how the real estate has evolved and why the RERA Act is also into picture. Sir has explained about 100 years history of the real estate because Bombay has seen many things more than the Karnataka or any other places. So I just wanted to inform you about that also, sir. And also we have a high regards.
Happy that you appreciated our
Form 7, sir.
There are many good things. Many judgments also I have gone through.
Yes, sir. Sir, for your information, about 50 chartered accountants in India, 50 to 100 chartered accountants in India is very closely connected. Actually, the book which we'll present to you is written by 100 chartered accountants in India, taking various aspects of RERA and contributed to this book under the leadership of Ramesh sir, actively discuss, deliberate on various judgments and various initiation of all the RERAs of all the states, on which like whatever the Karnataka's certificates of chartered accountants or maybe the annual audit formats, everything has been appreciated by most of the professionals, sir, because these are one of the finest information which brought into through the certificate to achieve the objective of the transparency, which is one of the fundamental pillar of this RERA also, sir. So we appreciate and also we thank you for the authority for ongoingly like looking at what is required to achieve the objective of RERA. So that is by way of the professional certificates you are bringing in is something which is of the good gesture to achieve the objective of RERA, sir. And you multiple time you mentioned that you being the police officer, what a RERA chairman can do, what a RERA cannot do, what RERA chairman cannot do, you are end up doing it, sir. And there cannot be a better proof for that you being the chairman and managing director in the past for police, housing department and infrastructure made 30 crore rupees profit. Yeah, that 30 crore profit in the government department, in the police, in the housing is something which is really which cannot be like ignored or not fail to mention, sir. So that with that experience, we are sure that you will be balancing both the builders as well as the allottees. As we always mention that this act is not only the regulation, also a development part. We are sure that under your able leadership, we also see this RERA Karnataka will be the forefront in terms of delivering much more aspects of the objectives of RERA, sir. Thank you very much, and we are happy to share with you about couple of publications which are made by a few of our friends and the authors, sir. This is one of the Maharashtra RERA law and practices. About 100 chartered accountants have written, sir, under the leadership of RERA, sir, and Mr. Ramesh Prabhu, sir. And one more for this today's seminar, I would like to hand over secretary. So this is about today's seminar. Today's seminar we have about all the laws relating to the real estate has been captured by the various speakers, whether it's a income tax, whether it's a GST and the RERA also, sir, which will be of one handbook to the participants and also for the authority for referring this, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for your patience and your kind words about the chartered accountants and also sharing some of the important aspect of the policy matters of RERA. We also wanted to share that as a chartered accountant fraternity, we'll meet you in person and also we'll share our insights of RERA and also maybe what are required for the purpose of implementation in a better manner, sir. We'll share about this 70% the funding requirement should be routed through the RERA account. I'm sure that multiple states, in few states have made it a mandatory and circular. Any borrowing for the purpose of the project should route through this 70% account, sir. We'll share the same. And also second, in terms of the borrowing cost to be incurred as part of 70%, I'll give you a little bit about this, sir. We declare something called estimated cost of the project. As part of the estimated cost of the project, which will have entire cost project, which is a construction cost, on-site cost, off-site cost, and also borrowing cost, which is the interest cost. If that is to be declared as part of the application, the cost including the interest cost, yes, authority should permit to withdraw to an extent the borrowing cost is declared in an application. 100 crores include 9 crore as an interest cost, you are permitted to withdraw till 9 crore rupees for the entire project. It is not 9 crore mentioned, 20 crore you are allowed to withdraw. Somewhere you have to bring that regulation, somehow you have to bring some practices to look at what is the estimated cost includes, whether you are permitting to withdraw only the estimated cost as per the project, sir. And we also, as a chartered accountant, we take utmost care while we issuing the certificate, sir. And one of the reason which you see there is a slow submission of the Form 7, which is recently notified. It requires lot of information, lot of effort by us also to put in before we put our signature, sir. And many a time, many of the information is difficult to gather by us also. Honestly, I'll tell you, this industry is a very typical, different industry to get the information from the builder side, because of the nature of industry is like that. So from the complete unorganized to a organized sector is there, everybody is doing the business, and getting the information from everybody is not the same, sir. So, and also more so difficult in case of a Mofusal area, like somebody doing the project at Yadgiri. The moment we ask this information, he will look at as a different personality itself, like, why do you want all these things, sir? Okay, these are all the challenges, but certainly we will meet your expectation, we will meet to the expectation of the Act as well as authority, sir. Thank you very much for being here, sir. Secretary to take over this.
Yeah. Members, on behalf of Bangalore branch, we would like to felicitate Mr. Krishna Chandra, sir. So please join us.
Maximum another 15-20 minutes. You will be here? Huh? Yeah. Yeah, you can put this slide.
We'll continue the session.
We are happy that sir has agreed to be with us
For some more time.
This particular up to 1:30, that is the session that we are going to complete. He has in fact given us the time, another 20 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, you be here. Yeah, that's correct. Sir, there are various controversies which are there. In fact, I'm happy that one of the controversy which has, at least Karnataka RERA has settled. If there is an arbitration clause in an agreement for sale, the question is whether an allottee can come to RERA.
Before exhaust with the arbitration.
Or he should go to arbitrator.
First.
MARERA for the first 5 years, when Gautam Chatterjee was there as a chairman, he said no, RERA is a special law and there is n number of judgment of even the Supreme Court and High Court that it is an additional remedy. So if there is a remedy of arbitration, he does not want to get into it. Being an additional remedy under section 88 of RERA, yes, he can come. But now MARERA chairman, recent chairman Ajay Mehta has taken a different view, saying that RERA cannot override the agreement. In the agreement there is already an arbitration clause. Though there is a RERA, he should go to the arbitrator. However, that matter is now pending before the appellate tribunal and of course in the High Court, certain matters are there. But Karnataka RERA, at least appellate tribunal, has taken a view that yes, if there is an arbitration clause, and RERA can still go ahead and decide on that. So this is one. Now second controversy which sir has raised, yes, it is a matter of concern, that is legacy. There are about 3 lakh projects in Maharashtra which does not have an occupation certificate. But they are there. You are talking about 50,000 projects in Mumbai itself without occupation certificate. Why I am saying this? Because this is an affidavit filed by the Municipal Corporation of Greater Mumbai to the Honorable Supreme Court, saying that these are the projects which does not having a commencement certificate, does not have the completion certificate. Now the question is, can RERA take up all this load? So therefore, MARERA taken a stand that if the projects are being completed and is definitely in the position of the allottees, then we will not hear the complaints of that. That is, project is registered, project is completed. No doubt OC has not come. This is a matter, again, concern, as you said, Karnataka, in other states also. But anyhow, if we have gone through the minutely Supreme Court judgment in the case of New Tech promoters and developers, they were talking about what is ongoing project, and it has categorically said one of the issues that whether a project which does not have a completion certificate, whether it requires to be registered with RERA. Honorable Supreme Court was very clear in its interpretation that if there is no completion certificate, that means project is not completed, it requires registration. Project can be considered as a complete only after receiving the occupation certificate and completion certificate. I leave it there because again it is an authority which has to take a call, and a matter came before the MARERA, a project which is not registered, which according to the RERA does not require registration. Again they were not clearing the complaints. A writ petition was filed before the Honorable High Court saying that how can RERA does not listen to me? You are an authority, you need to listen to me at least. You need to give a hearing to me. Then, yes, Honorable High Court directed in the writ petition saying that no, RERA need to at least hear the grievances and then decide whether that requires registration, does not require registration, give a reasoned order like any other thing, and then further course can be taken. So based on the Honorable High Court directions, RERA then came out with a model that yes, a project which whether to be required to be registered or not required to be registered, and if it is not required to be registered, then of course they does not listen to the complaints, but if it is required to be registered, they direct the registration to be done, and thereafter all the grievances of the allottees are heard. So these are some of the controversies which are there.
Yeah, sir, in the state of Karnataka, authority is hearing for the unregistered projects also, sir.
Which is very good.
Yeah, based on the facts of the case, they are directing to register the project or not required to be registered in the project, sir. Second thing is in this completion certificate, Karnataka RERA rules, like any other state, other states have brought in what is ongoing project which may not be required to register. One of the rules says that if all the development work in the project is completed, that is very important. All the development work is completed means internal development work and the external development work. If those are completed and filed for an application to obtain the occupancy or completion certificate as on date of Karnataka rule notified, that is 11/7, they are exempted from registration. But important is, it is not a filing an application for a occupancy certificate or completion certificate on 11/7/2017. The important is to look at whether the development work is completed in the project. That is the main crux of it issue, because as you rightly said that even those planning authority also take considerable time in terms of issuing the occupancy or completion certificate. So in the interest of the natural justice, the appropriate government has come out with some exemption.
Yeah.
Actually, this exemption is much stricter than the Act itself.
That's correct.
Because Act may say that receipt of occupancy or completion certificate.
Correct.
That means to say whether the project completed work or not, is there still one can take a shelter of it. But under the rules, it says all development work should be completed.
Correct.
When all development works are completed, there may not be a chances for a complaint from the allottees also in the project. These are all the two things I wanted to clarify from the Karnataka point of view, sir.
One more thing which we were discussing before you could come, where you can put a some light later on. That is, if a project has got an occupation certificate, I have not done any marketing. My project is completed in all respect. Okay. But project is started after 1st May 2017. I put entire 100 crore of my own money, but in the intention to sell 100 flats to the various allottees, but I have not taken any money. I have taken my bank loan, I have done everything. Now project is complete in all respect in the year 2022. Now I want to sell in the month of January 2023. Now the question is whether this type of project requires registration or not. But as I was discussing, a call which Marera has taken a stand, that if a developer or a promoter is selling after the occupation certificate is received, he need not register the project. This is a call taken by Marera. But if you look at the section 3, very categorically, it says after the commencement of the act, no sale, marketing or anything can happen unless until the project is registered with RERA. So therefore, according to my submission and discussion, and even one of the circular issued by the central government says that after the commencement of the act, even after the OC is issued, and marketing has to be done after the OC is issued, still it is required to be registered with RERA. That is what an information which I have shared. Maybe you may have to come out with certain clarification as far as Karnataka RERA is concerned.
Sir, Karnataka RERA has a concept of completed project.
Yeah.
In the registration module itself, we have completed, sir.
So that gives. So now let us come to the next. RERA implementation status report. Now as far as RERA implementation, there are about 31 real estate regulatory authority has been set up. Look at the seriousness in which Supreme Court has been handling. In the initial implementation of RERA, there was RERA, it was something different with the IBC matter. But Supreme Court passed a direction that within the 3 months from the date of passing the order, entire India, they have to register the, they have to set up the real estate regulatory authority. Interim will not do. Final regulatory authority has to be done, which means Supreme Court is very serious about the thing. One thing related to some Consumer Protection Act, there something was related to that, and RERA, Supreme Court directed that the approved plan, sanctioned plan should be put on the site of the construction, which means everywhere Supreme Court is coming out and saying that RERA need to be implemented. So that is how it is. Now there are 24 adjudicating officers, 35 states have notified the rules, and 28 real estate appellate tribunals have been set up, and of course all over India, as on 15th of October 2022, 94,748 projects are registered, out of which nearly 35,000 projects are only of Maharashtra. And out of that, 2,500 projects of Karnataka.
Karnataka is 6,000, sir.
6,000,
yes,
sorry.
Sir.
Sorry, I am stand corrected.
Yeah.
Okay, so 70,000 real estate agents and more than 1 lakh complaints are disposed. Now, professional opportunity, this is a great opportunity, as I said in the beginning. One, consultancy and the compliance related to registration of a project, which should be registered, which need not be registered. After registration, what are the compliance, extension, revival of the lapsed project. Stalled project, Maharashtra is leading in that also. 4,500 stalled projects, lapsed projects, where promoters have run away. Now the association allottees have been asked to, come forward, form an association and get it done. Now there are more than 10,000 projects where the compliance are not done. Now RERA has set up a special vertical under a retired IAS officer for issuing a stalled show cause notice for non-compliance, issuing a penalty notices. So these things have started. Maybe Karnataka also will do that. So if such show cause notices starts happening, then naturally compliances will go up. Now in RERA, again, Maharashtra, we have a two module. One, source complaint, where anybody and everybody can complain without disclosing your identity, that this is a project which is getting sold. So the information is collected and the information of the informer is kept secret, and investigation takes place and then found whether it requires. Second is where the allottees have booked and it is not registered the project, he has not completed. There also they can complain by paying the prescribed fees, and then the hearing, everything takes place. So again, when this type of things happen, the professionals will be definitely required to give the information. Retainership service, because compliance is huge, n number of compliance, every stage there is a compliance, new circulars are getting issued, new notifications are coming, and new judgments are coming. And as the new judgments comes, it becomes very difficult. So retainer service for various compliance consultancy throughout the cycle of the project, including from the registration, whether it should be phase-wise registration, what type of RERA dressing account has to be done, how project can be completed, what will be the date of project completion, what will be the date you will mention in the agreement for sale, and clauses in the agreement for sale. Now one more step, Supreme Court has now gone one more step, saying that there has to be uniform builders buyers agreement. On the basis of one PIL, now amicus curiae has been set up and the inputs have been taken from the various states. Now there will be two model agreements for getting separated, or different. RERA used to have different. Now the Supreme Court has said that Part A will have a compulsory clauses. Whatever is there in the provisions of the RERA, with the rules, it will be captured, which will be compulsory things. And Part B, which will be related to the project specification. That is consideration, maybe date of possession, certain things. Now MARERA has taken one more stand. Now before the RERA project gets registered, agreement for sale and allotment letter, prescribed formats are there. So whether that is in the prescribed format, there is a legal department which waits, and after vetting and calling for additional information from the promoter and getting deleted certain clause which they write in the agreement for sale, and then they have to give a deviation report. So this way certain rigid format and allotment letter format has been prescribed, how the allotment letter should be there. So I think these are some of the things coming up, so a chartered accountant can give. Then concern on management of funds as per RERA. Sir has rightly pointed out, I have a project right now in Pune. The total cost of the project is 30 crore. And he has taken from LIC Housing how much? 45 crore. And recovered from the allot is about 40 crore. Recovered 40 crore, cost of the project is 30 crore. You have taken 45 crore from the LIC Housing, and LIC Housing has given mortgage. Now the LIC Housing is saying that the allottees money which is coming in the RERA dressing account has to be given to them first, because they have got a charge on the receivables of the allottees, they have the charge on. I am on behalf of the allottees, and I have told LIC Housing what you are doing is wrong. There is a Supreme Court judgment which says the charge on the allottees money cannot be there, and still being a government body you are saying like this. But still the matter is now under litigation, project has become stalled. You can understand this is something nothing to do with the, it is completely siphoning of the money, where the entire, the financial institution also greatly involved in facilitating siphoning of the money. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, this is where a chartered accountant need to look into minutely whether there is that money which has been received on account of mortgage of the project, whether it has been used for that project, and of course the interest has been charged to that project, which the fund which is not used for that particular project. Other services to provide in addition to accounts, direct tax, indirect tax, which we discussed, consultancy, and now let us come why RERA, the compliance is become more strict. I told you, Maharashtra, just because one project is not registered by housing society, 2% of the cost of the project has been levied as a penalty. The cost of the project is 300 crore, 2% of that is 6 crore. 6 crore is levied as a penalty. Just because one advertisement has been put on the newspaper, just because one advertisement has been put in the newspaper without RERA number, or other small RERA number, 50 lakh rupees is the penalty. So the penalty ranges from 5% of the cost of the project, up to 5% of the cost of, up to 10% of the cost of the project, and this is how various penalties are there, and non-compliance of the RERA order can lead to imprisonment. So many of the RERAs have started passing 15 days imprisonment, 2 years imprisonment for not implementing the RERA order. So this is all I need to say, and of course we are running short of time, but I can only tell you just another 2 minutes. 40 petitioners, different association went to different high courts, as sir has rightly pointed out, that at the central government said, let the matter be heard by the Supreme Court. Honorable Supreme Court said, let the Bombay High Court hear. 330-page judgment. That is one landmark Bhagavad Gita, or whatever you call it, Bible of RERA. If it is 92 sections, hardly 30 page, you have 330-page judgment, which gives you elaborately, each of the sections have been challenged, and Honorable High Court said that RERA has not violated anything, and most of the sections of the RERA is within the provisions of the Act, and accordingly this has been upheld. The RERA Act has been upheld. Then Supreme Court directed to uniform agreement for sale. That has already been done. And then West Bengal, you know, Mamata Banerjee has a different way of looking at everything. Whatever Modi comes, she has to oppose. So she came out with her own law, West Bengal Housing Industry Regulation Act. Matter went up to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said nothing doing. When the Parliament has passed the law, and you cannot have a parallel act of your own, and that has been set aside. New tech promoters, I think yesterday it has been discussed in detail, so I am not getting into it, but only one thing I can tell you, if a promoter is going to appeal, whatever RERA has passed the order for refund or interest or compensation, 100% of that money has to be deposited, and then only appeal will be heard. Matter went up to Supreme Court, said, how can it be? For allottees, you don't require any money deposit. For promoter, you want 100% money to be deposited. This is ridiculous. It is fundamentally, constitutionally, it is wrong. So fundamental rights are violated. Honorable High Court said, there cannot be equality between the unequals. Promoter is and allottee cannot be equalized. They are two different people having two different ball game or the status. So unequals cannot be equalized, and therefore Supreme Court said whatever provisions of RERA 43(5), where to file an appeal by the promoter, 100% of the money has to be deposited. So these are the new tech judgment, and of course Supreme Court has in another matter has held that the RERA is a concurrent liability provision. You can go to IBC also, you can go for consumer court also, and it is an additional remedy. That is what we are saying. Now 500 square meter, I said, MARERA has taken a different view. 500 square meter or 8 units. Any one of the conditions fulfilled, yes, it requires registration. However, MARERA has taken a different stand. Appellate tribunal also has taken a different stand. But both the condition has to be fulfilled. Microtech, yes, sir has already pointed out that yes, recovery of money as the areas. Lavasa, we have discussed 9 years lease. That is also covered under RERA. And industrial units, MARERA has taken a different stand. Appellate Tribunal has taken, Tamil Nadu Appellate Tribunal has taken a different stand. They are saying industrial units are also covered under RERA. So next is about Sea Princess, where an engineer has been held liable for giving a certificate of completion when it was not completed. I'm not getting into detail. Interest on delayed possession, what is written in the agreement is prevail, and once the date is mentioned, there onwards you have to give the interest for the delayed possession. So this is about unregistered project. Honorable High Court has said that unregistered project complaint need to be heard. So with this, plans need to be dispatched, Supreme Court has already said. These are some of the judgments which of course is already given to you. You may go through. I can only say that RERA is evolving. It is a very good area of practice, and if we are able to educate, guide, create an awareness, I think we can make a difference in the lives of the allottees who are investing crores of their savings and the loan fund for acquiring a home. Thank you very much for Bangalore branch for giving me this wonderful opportunity to be with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Only one request, sir. The way we have done Marera chairman was part of the study group. Some of his officers were with us. Appellate Tribunal member was also part of that study group when we did. And similarly, if Karnataka RERA, with your involvement, with your officers' involvement, and CA Institute's people can come together, we can come out with a combined manual which helps. Because what is the authorities' expectation, what is the chartered accountants wants, and this becomes a Bible or the Gita for the people who are into practice, for promoter as well as. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful session. Now I would request our past chairman of the branch, CA Prabhu Aradhya, sir, to present a memento to.
Sir, you can come.
I'd request our past chairman, CA Shivaram Bhatt, sir, to present a memento to Vinay, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Thank you.
We have heard about RERA, and next session after lunch we have expert speaker for GST. I will acknowledge the presence of the speaker, Advocate Vaidishan sir, and so that we can have lunch quickly and come back. Now I request our secretary for some announcements.
Before I know it's already, lunch is already ready. Before we break for the lunch, I had a small announcement to be made. On Bangalore branch is planning to conduct international tour to Dubai, which is probably between the dates of 20 to 25th. So if anybody of you are interested, as of now, the brochure is going to come out shortly. This will be in the month of January. You can register your interest in the front desk so that they can take your interest, and once we float these, because this has a very limited seats, so in case if you are interested, probably block your interest today so that you'll get the brochure shortly. Thank you everyone. We'll meet back after the lunch.